Chapter 1. The boy behind the stories. In the city of Asterra, power was never decided by elections. It was decided in silence. Deals signed with expensive pens could start wars. A single nod from the right person could bankrupt a corporation overnight. Every district belonged to someone and everyone knew exactly whose streets they were walking on. At the center of it all stood the Blackcrest Syndicate, and at the top of Blackcrest, Marcus. At 32, Marcus had become the youngest leader in the syndicate's history. People called him ruthless, but they were wrong. He wasn't cruel. Cruelty required emotion. Marcus simply did what needed to be done. He never shouted, he never threatened, he merely looked at someone once. And they understood exactly how much trouble they were in. The conference room was silent. 7 executives sat around the polished black table. No one dared speak first. Marcus slowly closed the folder in front of him. Shipment was delayed. No one answered. His voice remained calm. I dislike delays. One manager swallowed hard. We had unexpected interference. Marcus raised one finger. The room fell silent again. I asked for a reason. Man immediately corrected himself. We failed. Marcus nodded once. Good. Everyone blinked. The first step toward fixing incompetence is admitting it. Tension somehow became even worse. Marcus stood. Recover the loss. Yes, boss. You fail again? He adjusted the cuff of his charcoal suit. Someone more capable will replace you. No threats, no yelling, no anger, yet everyone instinctively stood as Marcus left the room. Only after the elevator doors closed did the executives breathe again. Is he scarier when he's calm? One whispered, another rubbed his forehead. I would have preferred if he yelled. Watson, Marcus's trusted manager of more than 15 years, waited outside the office with a tablet in one hand and coffee in the other. You skipped breakfast again. Marcus accepted the coffee. I was busy. You always say that. Usually am. Watson sighed dramatically. If you keep living like this, you'll marry your paperwork. Marcus looked up. Doubt paperwork argues with me. Watson laughed. Oh, then you've definitely never met my son. Marcus paused. Infamous Cole, Watson groaned. Remind me. Marcus had heard countless stories about Watson's only child over the years. Apparently, at age 6, Cole had accidentally released dozens of rescue animals inside Watson's office because he thought everyone looked stressed. At 12, he convinced an entire school that the principal had secretly been replaced by a robot. At 16, he dyed Watson's expensive suits pink after losing a bet. 19, he somehow adopted 3 stray dogs, 2 cats, a goose, and an injured hawk without telling anyone. Marcus had never met him, but he already had an image in his mind. Chaos, pure chaos. So, Marcus asked while opening another report, how is your disaster of a son? Watson sighed again. He's finally coming home. Marcus looked up. He finished university. Yesterday, now. He says he wants to figure life out. Marcus frowned slightly. That sound dangerous. You have no idea. Watson pinched the bridge of his nose. He called me this morning. What happened? He asked if the mansion has room for a pet goat. Marcus blinked once. A goat? I told him no. Asked if alpacas count. The first time that week. Marcus smiled. It was small, almost invisible, but it was there. Watson pointed dramatically. Smiled. I did not. You absolutely did. I was confused. That's still progress. Marcus returned to reading. I hope, for your sake, he has matured. Watson laughed so hard he nearly dropped his tablet. Oh, boss, you have far too much faith in humanity. Several hours later, a train arrived at Central Station. Passengers poured onto the platform. Among them walked a young Omega wearing headphones around his neck, a backpack slung over one shoulder, and a grin that suggested trouble followed wherever he went. Cole Watson stretched dramatically. Home, he inhaled deeply. Still smells like traffic. An elderly woman struggled with 2 heavy suitcases. Without hesitation, Cole hurried over. Need help? Oh dear, are you sure? Carried furniture up 4 flights of stairs. Friend bought the wrong apartment. Woman blinked. How do you buy the wrong apartment? Cole smiled. It's a long story. 5 minutes later, after helping her into a taxi, Cole checked his phone. 23 missed calls. Dad, he laughed. If I don't answer now, he'll report me missing. He answered immediately. Alive. You've been in the city for 15 minutes. I was helping someone. Where are you? Cole looked around, near the giant pigeon statue. That's 3 blocks from the station. I got distracted. Of course you did. Cole grinned. You coming? I'm sending a driver. You don't trust me? I raised you. Fair point. The Blackcrest headquarters. Watson ended the call. Marcus didn't look up from the documents on his desk. Alive, unfortunately for my blood pressure. Marcus hid another smile behind his coffee cup. Watson noticed anyway. You smiled again. I am beginning to think your son is entertaining. You've only heard the stories. I know. Watson sighed dramatically. Meeting him is much worse. Outside the headquarters, a sleek black sedan pulled up to the entrance. Cole stepped out, looked up at the towering glass building and whistled. Dad works here. The driver nodded. Follow me. Inside, employees moved briskly through the elegant lobby. Cole wandered after the driver, looking around with open curiosity. So fancy. He accidentally walked into the wrong hallway. Oh, a security guard frowned. Sir, employees only. My mistake. Cole turned and collided directly with someone. His backpack slipped, papers scattered across the polished floor. Oh no, Cole immediately crouched to collect them. So sorry. Another pair of hands calmly picked up the remaining pages. Cole looked up. A tall man in a perfectly tailored dark suit stood before him. Sharp features, composed expression, dark eyes that seemed capable of freezing an entire room. The man handed the papers back without a word. Cole accepted them. Thanks, silence. You don't smile much, do you? The security guard turned pale, the receptionist nearly dropped her tablet, an assistant quietly whispered, Did he just say that? The stranger simply looked at Cole then. I smile when necessary. Cole tilted his head. Seems inefficient. The first time in years, someone had casually criticized Marcus to his face and they had no idea who he was. Marcus looked at the young Omega for another quiet second. Interesting, very interesting. Before either of them could say another word, a horrified voice echoed through the lobby. Came sprinting around the corner. He stopped dead, his eyes darted between Marcus and his son, then he covered his face. Oh no, Cole blinked. Dad, Watson looked ready to faint. Tell me. You didn't just insult my boss. Chapter 2, the man everyone feared. The lobby fell into complete silence. Every employee standing nearby had the same thought. This poor Omega has no idea what he's just done. Watson looked as though his soul had left his body. He pointed at the tall alpha standing beside Cole with trembling hands. Cole, this is Boss Marcus. Cole blinked. Boss? Watson nodded frantically. Boss, the head of Blackcrest, most powerful alpha in the city. My boss. Cole slowly turned back toward Marcus. For a long moment he simply stared. Marcus met his gaze without saying a word. The silence stretched so long that even the receptionist stopped pretending to work. Finally, Cole scratched the back of his neck. Oh, another pause. So, you really don't smile much. Someone in the lobby actually gasped. Watson nearly collapsed. Should apologize? Cole looked genuinely confused. I already apologized for bumping into him. Calling him grumpy? I didn't call him grumpy. You implied it. I implied he looked like he hadn't enjoyed a vacation since birth. A muffled snort came from one of the accountants. His coworker elbowed him so hard he almost fell over. Marcus remained expressionless. What is your name? Cole Watson. Marcus looked at Watson. So this is him. Watson sighed. Yes, Marcus nodded once. He is exactly as I imagined. Cole frowned. You imagined me, Marcus answered calmly. Heard stories about you for years. Cole groaned. Dad, what have you been telling people? Watson folded his arms. The truth. You told him about the goose, didn't? Yes, the pink suits. Yes, the fake robot principal. Yes, Cole buried his face in his hands. I can never escape my past. Marcus spoke without missing a beat. I also heard about the goat. Cole looked up. Never bought the goat. Watson immediately added, only because I stopped him. It was adorable. Ate my garden. That wasn't my fault. You brought it home. It looked hungry. It was eating my roses. Marcus watched the father and son argue with the calm interest of someone observing a very unusual documentary. The lobby employees exchanged glances. Boss is watching them and he hasn't walked away, is he? Entertained, Marcus finally spoke. Watson, yes boss, you've taken the afternoon off. Watson blinked. Have, spend time with your son. Watson looked surprised. Worked enough, thank you. Marcus turned to leave, then he stopped without looking back. He said, Cole, not to steal any livestock while you're in the city. The first time, Marcus walked away with the faintest hint of amusement in his eyes. Cole stared after him. Did he just make a joke? Watson looked equally stunned. I think he did. The moment Marcus disappeared into the elevator, the entire lobby exploded into whispers. Boss smiled. I saw it. No, you imagined it. I'm telling you. His eyes softened. Who is that? Omega, the manager's son, the fearless one, the insane one, looked around. Why is everyone staring at me? Watson grabbed his wrist. Come with me before you accidentally challenge another crime lord. I didn't challenge him. Practically reviewed his personality. I was being honest. You were being suicidal. Inside Watson's office, Cole dropped onto the sofa. So, my dad works in the fanciest building in the city. Watson handed him a glass of juice. Expected something darker. We're a criminal organization, not interior designers. Cole laughed. You have excellent taste, though. Watson rolled his eyes. Changing the subject won't save you. What? You embarrass me. I embarrassed you. You told my boss he looked like he needed a vacation. Cole shrugged. He does. Watson opened his mouth, then closed it. Actually, you're not wrong. They both burst into laughter. Meanwhile, on the top floor, Marcus stood in front of the enormous windows overlooking Asterra. His deputy Adrian entered quietly. Meeting with the East District is ready. Marcus nodded. Be there shortly. Adrian hesitated. Boss? Marcus looked at him. You seem different, smiled. Marcus returned his attention to the skyline. No, I did not. Adrian wisely decided not to argue. As he turned to leave, Marcus suddenly asked, was I intimidating? Adrian froze. Sir, the young Omega. He pretending not to be afraid? Adrian thought carefully. I don't think so. Marcus frowned slightly. He spoke naturally. Wasn't trying to impress me. Simply, Marcus searched for the right word. Treated me like a normal person. Adrian smiled faintly. I believe that's exactly what happened. Marcus said nothing after that, but for the rest of the afternoon, every time he tried to focus on reports, he found himself remembering bright amber eyes, an easy grin, and an Omega who had looked him straight in the eye before declaring, you really don't smile much. Across town, Cole wandered through a lively street market while Watson finished some paperwork. He bought fresh pastries, shared one with a stray dog, and somehow convinced a little girl that her handmade paper windmill was worth displaying proudly. You made this yourself? She nodded shyly. It's beautiful. Her smile lit up instantly. An old vendor watching nearby chuckled. Always been good with people, haven't you? Cole smiled, just like seeing them smile. Vendor handed him an extra sweet bun. This one's on the house. Cole accepted it with a grateful bow, completely unaware. A pair of sharp eyes observed him from a black sedan parked across the street. A man in a gray suit lowered a photograph. So this is Watson's son. He watched Cole laugh with strangers as though the world held no darkness. The man smiled coldly. Innocent, his phone buzzed. A single message appeared: report to Benston immediately. The man looked at Cole one last time before driving away. Neither Marcus nor Cole knew that someone from a rival organization had already taken an interest in the cheerful Omega, whose arrival had unknowingly begun to change the city's most feared alpha. Chapter 3. An unwanted bodyguard. Marcus's mornings never changed. 5:30 a.m. wake up, exercise, black coffee, review overnight reports. Meetings began at precisely 8. His schedule was so consistent that employees joked they could set their watches by him. Marcus didn't mind. Routine meant control, control meant survival. Chaos got people killed, which was why at exactly 8:03 a.m. he found himself staring silently at the young Omega sitting cross-legged on the conference table in his office. Cole waved cheerfully. Morning. Marcus looked at Watson. Watson looked ready to disappear into another dimension. I can explain. Marcus folded his hands behind his back. I'm listening. Watson sighed. I told him to wait in my office. I did. I returned 5 minutes later. You did. Was gone. I got bored. You wandered onto the executive floor. I was curious. You bypassed 3 security checkpoints. They were very polite. They were terrified. Cole looked genuinely confused. They just kept opening doors for me. Marcus could already imagine why no one dared stop the manager's son, unfortunately. That meant nobody stopped him from wandering straight into the boss's private office. Cole looked around. Like your office. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Been evaluating everything since yesterday. It's a habit. Your conclusion? Cole looked thoughtfully around the enormous room. Floor-to-ceiling windows, dark wooden shelves, a perfectly organized desk, not a single decoration, no family photographs, no plants, no personal items. Cole nodded. You desperately need a hobby. Watson slapped a hand over his own face. Marcus remained silent. You have books, Cole continued, but no novels. You have coffee, but no snacks. You have expensive furniture. But somehow the room still feels lonely. Silence. Marcus wasn't offended. He was thinking no one had ever commented on his office like that before. Everyone else admired it. Cole pitied it. You talk too much, Marcus finally said. Cole grinned. Been told. You should listen. I usually don't. Watson muttered, I've noticed. Before anyone could continue, Adrian knocked on the door. Boss. Marcus turned. What is it? We've confirmed suspicious activity near the eastern warehouses. Marcus's expression instantly changed. Cold, focused. Business. Leave immediately. Watson stepped forward. Come with you. Marcus shook his head. No. Watson frowned. Boss, you promised your son today. Watson looked conflicted. My work can wait 2 hours. Cole smiled softly. Dad, I'm okay. Watson sighed. You two are making me emotional. Marcus ignored the comment, then his phone vibrated. He read the message. His eyes narrowed. Situation has escalated. Adrian spoke quietly. Rival scouts were armed. Marcus made his decision immediately. Watson, yes, stay here. I can't. You will, my son. Marcus looked at Cole. Cole, not leave this building. Cole blinked. Was that an order? Yes. Cole smiled innocently. Think about it. Watson nearly fainted. Marcus stared at him. Think about it. I don't like being ordered around. Marcus had negotiated with politicians, defeated rival syndicates, faced assassins without blinking, yet somehow, one stubborn Omega was proving unexpectedly difficult. 1 hour later, Marcus's convoy sped across the city. The eastern warehouses stood near the river. Abandoned factories surrounded them. Too quiet. Marcus stepped from the vehicle. Report. Adrian handed him a file. No sign of Benston's people now. Marcus studied the area. Watching. You think so? I know so. Across the street, behind a dusty warehouse window, camera lens followed Marcus's every movement. The observer spoke into an earpiece. Boss, Marcus is here. A calm voice answered. Good. The Omega, still inside Blackcrest headquarters. A brief pause. Continue watching. The call ended. Meanwhile, back at headquarters, Cole lasted exactly 53 minutes before becoming bored. He wandered into the employee lounge. Morning. Staff greeted him nervously. Good morning, one assistant whispered. He's the boss's first guest. Another whispered back, and he survived. Cole looked at the snack shelf. Wow, people hide chocolate up here. The room became awkwardly silent. One brave intern admitted, we don't eat it. Not, it's for emergency meetings. Cole stared. What kind of emergency requires chocolate? Boss meetings. Cole burst into laughter. You people are adorable. He opened a chocolate bar. Get caught, someone whispered. Cole shrugged. Then we'll share the blame. To everyone's surprise, he broke the chocolate into pieces and handed it around the room. Tense atmosphere melted almost instantly. People laughed, introduced themselves, shared stories. Within 20 minutes, the boss's employee lounge sounded happier than it had in years. Marcus returned just before noon. As he walked through the hallway, he stopped. Laughter coming from the lounge employees. Laughing, he quietly opened the door. Inside, nearly 20 employees surrounded Cole. Someone was telling jokes. Someone else was teaching Cole a card game. Half the chocolate supply had vanished. Cole looked up first. Oh, the grumpy boss is back. Room froze. Every employee slowly turned toward Marcus. Several looked seconds away from resignation. Marcus's gaze moved from the empty snack shelf to the smiling employees, to Cole. Cole, yeah, did you steal company property? Cole proudly held up the last piece of chocolate. I redistributed employee happiness. Marcus stared at him for a long moment, then, without warning, he walked over, took the final piece of chocolate from Cole's hand, and ate it. The room fell silent. Cole gasped dramatically. You thief! Marcus met his eyes. I confiscated evidence. The first time, the entire lounge witnessed something impossible. Cole laughed. Marcus didn't stop him, and hidden behind the doorway, Watson, who had just returned from another meeting, witnessed the exchange with widening eyes. He looked from his smiling son to his unreadable boss and muttered under his breath, "Oh no, I know that look." Because after working beside Marcus for 15 years, Watson recognized the smallest changes in him. Marcus wasn't annoyed by Cole anymore, he was becoming interested. And that frightened Watson far more than any rival syndicate ever had. Chapter 4. Assigned to the boss the following morning, Marcus was already in his office before sunrise. A steaming cup of black coffee rested beside an untouched stack of reports. He read every page with the same calm expression. But his concentration kept breaking, not because of the reports, because for some inexplicable reason, he found himself wondering what ridiculous thing Cole would do today. Marcus frowned at himself, distracted. He didn't like distractions. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in." Adrian entered with a folder. "Boss, the security team finished reviewing yesterday's surveillance." Marcus looked up. "Anything unusual?" Adrian hesitated. There were several unidentified people watching headquarters. Marcus's expression hardened. "Benston, we can't confirm." "It's possible." Marcus closed the folder. "Increase security." "It has already been done." Adrian paused. "I think Watson should know." Marcus nodded. "Call him." A few minutes later, Watson hurried into the office. "You wanted to see me?" Marcus slid several photographs across the desk. Watson's face darkened. "These men, they're not ours." Marcus nodded. They watched headquarters for almost 3 hours. Watson immediately understood. Cole. Marcus didn't answer. Silence itself was enough. Watson sighed. "I knew bringing him home might become dangerous." Marcus leaned back. "As long as he's your son, he could become a target." Watson looked guilty. "Send him away." Marcus looked up. "No." Watson blinked. "Boss, if someone is already watching him, moving him now will only expose him." "Then what do we do?" Marcus answered without hesitation. "He stays here." Watson frowned. "With security?" "Yes, much security," Marcus calmly replied. "Mine?" Watson stared. "Your personal security?" "Correct. They're your elite guards." "I know, they've protected you for years." "I know. You're assigning them to my son?" Marcus simply nodded. Watson looked as though reality had stopped making sense. Across the building, Cole was happily exploring the cafeteria. "This place has pancakes," the chef laughed. "Every Thursday. I love Thursdays." He accepted a plate with the biggest smile imaginable. Just as he sat down, 4 large alpha bodyguards surrounded his table. Cole blinked. "Can I help you?" One spoke respectfully. "Mr. Cole, the boss has assigned us to you." Cole looked around dramatically. "Is this because I stole the chocolate?" The guards remained perfectly serious. "No." Cole sighed in relief. "Oh good, I thought he was holding a grudge." One guard almost smiled. Almost 5 minutes later, Marcus entered the cafeteria for his usual coffee. He immediately spotted Cole and the 4 guards. Cole waved enthusiastically. "Morning, grumpy boss." Every spoon in the cafeteria froze. Marcus walked over as if nothing unusual had happened. "Good morning." Cole pointed at the guards. "Did you hire babysitters?" "They're bodyguards. I'm not a celebrity." "Then why?" Marcus answered simply. "Because someone may try to hurt you." Cole's smile faded slightly. "Because of Dad, yes." Cole looked down at his pancakes for the first time. Marcus saw the cheerful Omega become quiet. "I didn't think his work could affect me." Marcus pulled out the chair opposite him. "Most family members don't." Cole poked his pancake with a fork. "I don't want to become a burden." Marcus spoke calmly. "Not." Cole looked up. "If protecting you distracts us, that's our responsibility." Something about Marcus's steady voice made the anxiety in Cole's chest ease. He smiled again. "Thanks." Marcus gave a small nod. Then Cole cut a piece of pancake and held out his fork. "Want some?" The cafeteria collectively stopped breathing. Marcus looked at the offered bite. "No." "On no, it's blueberry." "It's really good." Marcus sighed quietly. "You're persistent." "Heard that before." After several long seconds, Marcus accepted the bite. The room exploded with silent disbelief. Someone accidentally dropped a tray. Another employee whispered, "The boss just ate from someone else's fork." A secretary clutched her friend's arm. "I think I'm hallucinating." Later that afternoon, the office group chat exploded. "Receptionist, boss ate food from Cole's fork." "Intern, fake." "Receptionist, I saw." "IT, accountant, so did I." "Security, confirmed." "HR, are we witnessing a miracle?" "Anonymous, I'm starting to ship them." Another anonymous, "We've all been shipping them since yesterday." Meanwhile, Watson unknowingly entered the break room. The conversation stopped instantly. Everyone smiled awkwardly. Watson narrowed his eyes. "What are you people hiding?" "Nuothing." HM. He left the moment the door closed. The gossip resumed at twice the speed that evening. Marcus stood alone on the rooftop terrace. The city lights stretched endlessly below. Footsteps approached. Cole appeared carrying 2 paper cups. "I guessed you hadn't eaten dinner." Marcus looked at him. "You guessed correctly." Cole handed him 1 cup. "Hot cocoa." Marcus stared at it. "Drink coffee." "I know. Everyone deserves hot cocoa once in a while." Marcus accepted it. They stood quietly beside each other. No teasing, no arguments, just comfortable silence. After a while, Cole spoke softly. "I ask you something." "Yes." "You always lonely?" Marcus looked at the city. "Why would you ask that? You always eat alone, work alone, you leave alone. Every time I see you, everyone respects you." He smiled gently, "but nobody seems close enough to simply ask, 'How was your day?'" Marcus didn't answer immediately because no one had ever asked him that, not in years. Cole smiled warmly. "So, how was your day?" Marcus looked at the Omega beside him. For the first time in a very long time, someone wasn't speaking to the feared boss of Blackcrest. They were speaking to Marcus, and somewhere in the shadows of a nearby building a camera shutter clicked. A hidden photographer lowered his lens and smiled coldly. There it is, the boss has finally looked at someone. He attached the photographs to a secure message addressed to only one recipient, Benston, Chapter 5. An unexpected lunch. Marcus rarely ate lunch. Most days, he simply drank another cup of black coffee and continued working. The staff had long since accepted that their boss considered meals an inconvenience rather than a necessity. So when the executive floor elevator opened just after noon, and Cole stepped out carrying 2 paper bags and 2 bottled drinks, every assistant looked up. One whispered, "Is he?" Another nodded. "He's absolutely going into the boss's office. Should we stop him?" "You stop him. Not risking my job." Cole smiled at them. "Relax. Just delivering lunch to the world's grumpiest alpha." Several employees bit their lips to stop themselves from laughing. One quietly opened the office group chat. "Receptionist, Cole is heading to the boss's office with food." HR, "Everyone act natural." Intern, "Nobody is acting natural." Without knocking, Cole pushed open the office door. Marcus didn't even look up from the report in his hands. Become comfortable entering without permission. Cole shut the door behind him. "You noticed," Marcus sighed. "I was hoping you hadn't." Cole placed the paper bags on the desk. "Lunch, I already ate." Cole looked directly at the untouched cup of coffee. "That doesn't count." "It does." "Absolutely doesn't." Marcus returned to reading. "I'm busy." "So eat while you're busy. Don't multitask. You run an entire criminal organization." "I delegate." Cole folded his arms. "You really are impossible." Marcus finally looked up. "So I've been told." Cole grinned. "Good, then we're making progress." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Marcus looked at the paper bags. "What did you bring?" "Burgers." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Fast food, the best food." "I disagree. That's because you've clearly forgotten what happiness tastes like." Marcus let out the faintest exhale through his nose. Cole pointed dramatically. That was almost a laugh. It was breathing. Suspiciously amused breathing. A few minutes later, Marcus was, against his better judgment, eating a burger. Cole watched with obvious satisfaction. "There. You look more human already." Marcus took another bite. "I wasn't aware I looked inhuman." "You look like someone who schedules smiling between meetings." Marcus swallowed calmly. "I don't." "I know, that's the problem." Cole stole a handful of fries from Marcus's tray. Marcus looked down. "Did you just steal my fries?" "I rescued them." "From what?" "Loneliness." Marcus stared at him. "They were on my plate." "Exactly. They were already loved." Cole laughed so hard he nearly choked. Marcus reached over without thinking and handed him a bottle of water. "Slow down." Cole accepted it automatically. "Thanks." Neither of them noticed the gesture. The 2 assistants walking past the office certainly did. One peeked through the slightly open blinds. Her eyes widened. "He's what?" He handed Cole water. "So." He noticed he was choking before Cole did. Other assistant covered her mouth. Oh, this is serious." Meanwhile, Watson stepped out of a meeting carrying several files. He noticed half the executive assistants crowded near Marcus's office. "What are all of you doing?" Everyone jumped. "Nothing. We were walking together." "Yes." Watson narrowed his eyes. "Move." Employees scattered in every direction. Watson sighed. Becoming weirder every day. He reached Marcus's office, raised his hand to knock, then paused inside. He heard laughter. Marcus's office. Laughter. Watson slowly opened the door. Cole was sitting comfortably across from Marcus. Marcus was actually eating lunch, and the 2 of them were arguing over who deserved the last French fry. Cole pointed accusingly. "Already had more." Marcus answered calmly. "I bought nothing. I brought the food." "Correct. So I deserve the last fry." "You brought it for both of us." Cole gasped dramatically. "Traitor." Marcus calmly picked up the last fry. Cole lunged across the desk to steal it. Marcus lifted his hand just high enough that Cole couldn't reach. "You are unbelievably childish," says the man holding food above my head. Watson blinked once, twice, then loudly cleared his throat. Both of them looked over. Cole smiled brightly. "Dad." Marcus calmly lowered his hand. "Fry is yours." Cole immediately took it. Looked between them. "What did I just witness?" Cole happily ate the fry. "A negotiation." Marcus corrected him. "A failed negotiation." Watson rubbed his temples. "I leave for one meeting. And now you're fighting over potatoes." Cole nodded confidently. Important potatoes. Later that afternoon, Marcus and Adrian walked through one of Blackcrest's storage facilities. Adrian glanced sideways. "Changed?" Marcus didn't stop walking. "In what way?" "You ate lunch." "I was hungry." "You smiled." "I breathed." "You argued over a French fry." Marcus remained silent. Adrian smiled knowingly. "Worked with you for 12 years. You've never argued over food before." Marcus looked ahead. "Also never met Cole before." The words escaped before he could stop them. He frowned slightly. Adrian noticed. "So you admit he's different?" Marcus didn't answer because he already knew Cole was different, not because he wasn't afraid, not because he joked constantly, but because, for reasons Marcus couldn't explain, being around him made silence feel less lonely. Across the city, inside a luxurious penthouse, Benston stood before a wall-sized screen displaying dozens of surveillance photographs. Most featured Marcus. Some showed Blackcrest warehouses. Only one folder had been opened repeatedly. Cole Watson. Benston slowly studied the latest photographs. Marcus accepting food. Marcus sitting beside Cole. Marcus looking at Cole while the Omega laughed. Benston smiled. A small change can become a fatal weakness. One of his advisors stepped forward. "Should we move now?" Benston closed the folder. "No. Yet." He tapped one photograph with a gloved finger. Marcus's eyes were fixed on Cole, cold, calm, yet undeniably softer than in every other photograph. Benston's smile widened. "Feelings grow slowly." Wait until they become impossible to ignore. Outside, the rain began to fall over Asterra. Neither Marcus nor Cole knew that, somewhere in the city, a patient enemy had already begun planning how to turn an unexpected friendship into the deepest wound either of them would ever face. Chapter 6. The umbrella. Rain poured over Asterra from dawn. The streets shimmered beneath gray clouds as people hurried beneath umbrellas, eager to escape the storm. Inside Blackcrest headquarters, employees shook the rain from their coats before taking their seats. Only one person walked through the lobby as though the weather didn't exist. Cole. His hair was damp, his hoodie sleeves were rolled to his elbows, and he carried a small cardboard box against his chest. The receptionist smiled. "Good morning, Mr. Cole." "Morning. What happened to you?" "I found these." Opened the box. Inside, 5 tiny kittens blinked sleepily. The receptionist covered her mouth. "Oh my goodness, they were hiding under a bridge." Cole gently stroked the smallest one's head. "Their mother was nearby. I waited until animal rescue arrived. They took the mother to shelter for treatment. They asked me to keep these little troublemakers warm until they came back." Within seconds, half the lobby staff had gathered around the box. "So tiny. Look at this one. I think it fell asleep." Cole laughed. "I know, they're ridiculously cute." On the top floor, Marcus was reading financial reports. A distant chorus of laughter echoed through the building. He looked toward the door. Adrian entered a moment later. "Boss." Marcus looked up. "What is everyone doing?" Adrian smiled faintly. "Cole found kittens." Marcus blinked. "Kittens, 5 of them." Silence. Adrian waited. Marcus returned to his paperwork. "I see." 3 minutes later, Marcus closed the report. "Inspect the lobby." Adrian hid a smile. Of course. The moment Marcus stepped into the lobby, every employee straightened immediately. Cole looked up from the kittens. "Oh, morning, grumpy boss." Marcus walked over. "What are these?" "Kitten." "I can see that. They're temporary guests." Marcus looked inside the box. 5 tiny faces looked back. One sleepy kitten stretched, then climbed onto the edge of the box. Before anyone could react, it reached toward Marcus. The feared alpha instinctively extended one finger. The kitten wrapped its tiny paws around it. The lobby fell silent. Cole looked at Marcus, then at the kitten, then back at Marcus. "It likes you." Marcus looked at the kitten clinging stubbornly to his finger. "I appear to have been selected." Cole burst into laughter. "The most feared man in Asterra has been conquered by a kitten." Even Marcus couldn't argue with that. Very carefully, he lifted the tiny animal into his palm. It curled into a fluffy ball almost instantly. One security guard quietly whispered, "I need a picture." Another immediately elbowed him. "Do you want to die?" "No. But history should be preserved." Watson arrived moments later. He stopped in his tracks. His boss was holding a kitten. His son was grinning at him. The employees were smiling instead of working. Watson blinked. "What happened here?" Cole answered proudly. "Kitten adopted Marcus." Marcus corrected him. "I believe the kitten lacks decision-making skills. It has excellent taste." Watson sighed dramatically. "I don't know which situation is stranger, my son hanging around a Mafia headquarters, or my boss becoming a cat bed." An hour later, the animal rescue team arrived. Cole carefully handed over each kitten. The smallest one refused to let go of Marcus's sleeve. Cole laughed so hard he had to wipe tears from his eyes. "I can't believe it. Chose you twice." Marcus gently loosened the kitten's tiny paws. "You should stay with your family." Kitten gave one tiny meow before settling into the rescue carrier as the van drove away. Cole smiled softly. "Thanks." Marcus looked at him. "What? You didn't pretend not to care." Marcus answered honestly. "I don't." Cole's smile grew warmer. "I know." By late afternoon, the rain still hadn't stopped. Marcus finished his final meeting and stepped into the lobby. Most employees had already gone home. Only Cole remained. He stood outside beneath the entrance canopy, staring at the rain. "You haven't left." Cole looked over his shoulder. "I forgot my umbrella. You'll get soaked." "Survived worse." Marcus glanced at the downpour without another word. He opened the large black umbrella he always kept in his office. "Drive you?" Cole blinked. "Seriously?" "Yes, you don't have to." "I know." Cole studied Marcus for a long moment, then smiled. "Okay." The two of them walked toward the waiting sedan. The umbrella was large enough for 2 people, yet somehow, Cole still managed to bump shoulders with Marcus every few steps. Marcus looked down. "Walking into me." "I know. Why?" "I'm avoiding puddles." "There aren't any." "There could be." Marcus looked ahead. "That's not convincing." Cole laughed. "You noticed." As they reached the car, speeding vehicle suddenly tore around the corner. Its tires sprayed a wave of rainwater across the sidewalk. Marcus reacted instantly without thinking. He pulled Cole firmly against his chest and turned his own back toward the street. Water splashed across Marcus's expensive suit. Cole remained completely dry. The car disappeared before anyone could read its license plate. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. Cole slowly looked up. Marcus's arm was still around his shoulders. His heartbeat was calm, steady, protective. Marcus seemed to realize what he'd done. He immediately stepped back. "Are you hurt?" Cole blinked once. "No." He looked at Marcus's soaked jacket. "But your suit is." Marcus glanced down. "It can be replaced." Cole stared at him. "You ruined a suit that probably costs more than my rent." "To keep me dry." Marcus answered as though it were obvious. "I told you, my responsibility is to protect you." Cole smiled, but this time, there was something quieter in it, something thoughtful. He looked away before Marcus could notice the warmth creeping into his cheeks. Neither of them saw the camera hidden across the street. The shutter clicked once, then again. Inside a parked sedan, a man lowered his camera and made a phone call. "Photographs are ready." A calm voice answered from the other end. "Good. Watching. I want to know the exact moment Marcus stops protecting Cole out of duty and starts protecting him because he can't bear to lose him." Chapter 7, A Place at His Side. The following morning, Marcus arrived at headquarters wearing another perfectly tailored charcoal suit. Yesterday's rain-soaked jacket had already been replaced. To anyone else, it looked like nothing had changed, but to the employees who had witnessed the previous evening, everything had changed. The receptionist leaned toward the security guard. He protected Cole. The guard nodded with his own body. Never seen boss react that fast. Another employee whispered, and did you notice? What? He checked whether Cole was hurt before he even looked at himself. Group fell silent. One intern quietly muttered, he's gone. Marcus stepped into the elevator. The whispers stopped immediately. As the doors closed, he caught a glimpse of several employees pretending to organize files they had already organized twice. He knew they were talking about him. He simply didn't care, or at least he told himself he didn't. On the executive floor, Adrian approached with a tablet. Good morning, boss. Morning. The East District contract has been finalized. Marcus nodded. Any incidents overnight? None. Adrian hesitated. There is one thing. Marcus looked up. Cole. Marcus waited. He brought breakfast. For whom? You. Marcus blinked. Why? Adrian smiled. He said skipping breakfast is an unhealthy lifestyle. Marcus pinched the bridge of his nose. Where is he? In your office. Marcus opened the office door. Cole was standing by the large windows, humming quietly while arranging breakfast containers on the coffee table. He turned with a grin. There you are. Marcus closed the door. Made yourself comfortable. I have. What are you doing? Saving your life. Marcus looked at the food. I wasn't aware I was dying. You were. What? Chronic breakfast deprivation. Marcus sighed. Cole, no excuses. You eat. Marcus looked at the spread. Fresh sandwiches, fruit, coffee, and a small box of pastries. You bought all this? Cole shrugged. I was hungry, and I figured you'd pretend you weren't. Marcus almost smiled. Almost. A few minutes later, the two of them sat on opposite sides of the coffee table. Marcus ate quietly. Cole watched him with obvious satisfaction. There, you look less terrifying already. I wasn't aware breakfast affected my appearance. Affects your mood. Mood is unchanged. Cole laughed. If you say so. Marcus reached for his coffee. Before he could pick it up, Cole slid the cup slightly closer. It's still hot. Marcus looked at him. Noticed. You nearly grabbed the paper cup instead of the handle. Silence. Marcus quietly took the cup by its handle. Thank you. Cole smiled. Welcome. Neither of them realized how natural that small exchange had become just then. Watson walked into the office carrying a stack of documents. He stopped dead. His son was sitting comfortably in front of Marcus. Marcus was eating breakfast. Watson slowly lowered the files. Feel like I've entered the wrong office. Cole waved happily. Morning, Dad. Watson looked at Marcus. Boss, you eat breakfast now? Marcus answered calmly. It seemed reasonable. Watson narrowed his eyes. For 15 years I've begged you to eat. You ignored me, my son asks once. And suddenly you're reasonable. Cole proudly folded his arms. I'm persuasive. Watson pointed dramatically. No, you're suspicious. Marcus calmly took another bite of his sandwich. Watson looked betrayed. Officially been replaced. Burst into laughter. You haven't been replaced. Watson sighed theatrically. That's exactly what someone replacing me would say. Marcus looked at Watson with complete seriousness. You are being dramatic. Watson gasped. You took his side. I took the truthful side. Watson clutched his chest. My own boss has abandoned me. Cole laughed so hard he nearly spilled his juice. Even Marcus couldn't stop the tiny smile that tugged at the corner of his lips. Watson froze. You smiled. Marcus immediately returned to his usual expression. I did not. You absolutely smiled. Cole grinned. I saw it too. Marcus calmly stood. Have a meeting. Watson leaned toward Cole and whispered loudly enough for Marcus to hear. He's running away. I am leaving for work. Same thing. Marcus walked toward the door without responding. Just before stepping out, he paused. Without turning around, he said, Cole. Yeah, if you're staying today. There's an empty desk beside Adrian's office. Cole blinked. You mean I can hang around upstairs? It will be easier for security. A grin slowly spread across Cole's face. So, I get my own desk. Marcus nodded once. For now. The moment Marcus left, Cole pumped his fist into the air, stared at his son, then toward the closed office door, then back at his son. Boss, Marcus just voluntarily gave you a place on the executive floor. Watson sighed deeply. Have a terrible feeling. My peaceful life is officially over. Chapter 8, The Executive Floor's New Resident. By 9 o'clock, every employee on the executive floor had heard the news. The manager's son had been given a desk not just anywhere, on the executive floor right outside the boss's office. The reactions were mixed. Worked here for 8 years. I still don't have a desk this nice. Another employee sighed. He got promoted without even being hired. A secretary leaned over. I'm more concerned that boss approved it himself. So am I. Cole arrived carrying a backpack, a laptop, and a small cardboard box. Adrian met him outside the office. Good morning. Morning. Adrian looked at the box. What's in there? My desk decorations. He opened it. A tiny cactus, a miniature wooden duck, framed photograph of him and Watson when Cole was about 10 years old, both covered in flour after an unsuccessful attempt to bake a birthday cake, and mug that read, World's Most Persistent Omega. Adrian stared. You're decorating, of course. Desk without personality is just furniture. Adrian chuckled. I think you're the first person who's ever said that in this building. Within 15 minutes, the once ordinary desk looked completely different. The cactus sat proudly beside the monitor. The wooden duck faced Marcus's office as though standing guard. The framed photo rested near the keyboard. Several employees walked past, then slowed down. One whispered, it actually looks nice. Another nodded. The whole hallway feels less gloomy. Marcus stepped out of his office. His eyes immediately landed on the transformed desk. He looked at the cactus, then the duck, then the photograph. Finally, he looked at Cole. Personalized it. Cole smiled. It was depressing before. It was functional. It was sad. Marcus glanced at the tiny cactus. What's its It exists, so does the desk. Exactly. It was lonely. Marcus looked at Adrian. Is this normal? Adrian answered with complete seriousness. I don't think normal applies to Cole. Cole pointed triumphantly. See, Marcus sighed. Noticed. Before lunch, a courier arrived with several confidential files. He stepped off the elevator, looked around nervously, and approached Cole. Excuse me, where can I find Mr. Marcus? Cole looked up from his laptop. The tall guy who dresses like every day is a funeral, the courier blinked. I think so. Cole pointed toward the office. Second door, thanks. Courier hurried away. A secretary buried her face in her hands. You cannot keep describing the boss like that. Cole shrugged. It's accurate. A few minutes later, Marcus emerged from his office after finishing with the courier. As he walked past, he heard soft humming. Cole was working on his laptop while absent-mindedly humming an old tune. Marcus stopped. You sing? Cole looked up. Well, you seem comfortable. Usually am. Marcus looked at the screen. What are you doing? I'm designing a website. Whom? The animal shelter that took the kittens. Marcus studied the colorful layout. You volunteered. They needed help. You're helping them for free. Cole smiled. They saved the kittens. That seems like a good enough reason. Marcus remained quiet. He was beginning to notice something. Cole never helped people because he expected something in return. He simply helped. That afternoon, Watson returned from a meeting. The first thing he noticed was Marcus standing beside Cole's desk. The second thing was the two of them quietly discussing website colors. Watson froze. My boss is debating shades of blue. Cole pointed at the screen. This one feels calmer. Marcus shook his head. Darker one is easier to read. Cole narrowed his eyes. Thought about this. Read studies. Cole laughed. Of course you have. Watson slowly backed away. Don't think anyone would believe me if I told them. Later, Marcus was called into an emergency meeting with senior executives. As soon as he left, Cole leaned back in his chair. Bored, one assistant appeared almost instantly. Would you like coffee? No thanks. Another asked. Tea? I'm good. A third offered. We have cookies. Cole laughed. Why are all of you being so nice to me? The employees exchanged awkward glances. Finally, one of them admitted, because you make this floor feel alive. Cole blinked. What do you mean? The older secretary smiled gently. Worked here for 12 years. Before you arrived, the loudest sound on this floor was usually someone turning a page. She looked around the hallway. Now, people smile more. They take proper lunch breaks. They actually talk to each other. Another employee nodded, and the boss, Cole, tilted his head. What about him? He leaves his office more often, asks people how projects are going. Even thanked the cleaning staff yesterday. Cole looked genuinely surprised. He didn't do that before. Everyone shook their heads. The older secretary smiled knowingly. We're not saying you changed him. You remind him there's more to life than work. Cole looked toward Marcus's closed office door for a brief moment. His usual playful smile softened. He remembered the question he'd asked on the rooftop. How was your day? Marcus had looked so surprised, as though no one had asked him something so simple in years. A quiet thought crossed Cole's mind. He really has been lonely. Hasn't he? Before he could dwell on it, the elevator doors opened. Marcus returned from his meeting. His gaze instinctively swept the hallway. It landed on Cole only after confirming the Omega was exactly where he'd left him. Did Marcus continue walking toward his office? He didn't even realize he'd done it, but Adrian did, so did Watson, and from the security monitor room, someone else noticed as well. The technician quietly replayed the footage before sending a timestamped clip to the intelligence department. The report contained only one sentence. Boss Marcus's first glance after every meeting is consistently directed toward Cole Watson far across the city. That report would soon arrive on Benston's desk. Chapter 9. A day off. Saturday mornings were usually the quietest at Blackcrest headquarters. Only a handful of employees came in to handle urgent work. Marcus was naturally one of them. He was reviewing financial reports when a knock sounded on his office door. Come in. Adrian stepped inside. Boss, what is it? You've worked 23 consecutive days. Marcus continued reading. I know, you have no meetings today. I know. Adrian folded his arms. Go home. Marcus looked up. I'm at work. Exactly. Before Marcus could respond, another voice came from the hallway. He's still here. Cole appeared around the doorway carrying 2 cups of coffee. He looked at Adrian. I thought today was his day off. Adrian sighed. It is. Cole looked at Marcus. You're terrible at relaxing. Marcus calmly accepted one of the coffees. I prefer being productive. Cole walked into the office. No, you prefer pretending you don't need a break. Marcus took a sip. Sound like Watson. Take that as a compliment. 20 minutes later, Watson himself arrived. He stopped outside Marcus's office. Inside, he heard 2 familiar voices arguing. You need hobbies. I have hobbies. Name one. Reading. Work reports don't count. They're informative. They're boring. Watson smiled to himself, then opened the door. Cole, Dad, you bothering my boss? I'm improving his quality of life. Marcus answered without looking up. That remains unconfirmed. Watson laughed. I believe him. Marcus looked at both of them. I'm surrounded. Correct. Cole grinned. And today, we're kidnapping you. Marcus slowly put down his pen. Explain. 30 minutes later, Marcus found himself sitting in the back seat of a black SUV, not because he'd agreed, because Watson and Cole had refused to leave without him. Cole smiled from the seat beside him. See, the world didn't end. Marcus looked out the window. Where are we going? It's a surprise. I dislike surprises. I know, that's why it's fun. Watson laughed from the front passenger seat. Marcus quietly wondered when exactly he'd lost control of the day the SUV eventually stopped in front of a large public park. Families wandered along tree-lined paths, children chased pigeons, street musicians performed near a small fountain. Marcus stepped out and looked around. A park. Cole spread his arms dramatically. Welcome to civilization. I was already in the city, you were in your office. That's different. Cole nodded confidently. Very. As they walked along the path, people occasionally glanced toward Marcus. His expensive suit looked completely out of place among joggers and families. Cole noticed. You know. What? You could have worn something casual. Marcus looked down at himself. This is casual. Cole burst into laughter. No, it absolutely isn't. Watson joined in. Known him for 15 years. Never seen him wear jeans. Marcus looked at them both. I own jeans. Cole immediately stopped walking. Prove it. Marcus remained silent. Cole pointed triumphantly. I knew it. They don't exist. A little farther ahead, a little boy kicked a soccer ball too hard. The ball rolled straight toward Marcus. The child froze. His father hurried over. So sorry, sir. Marcus bent down, picked up the ball, and looked at the nervous boy. You have a good kick. Child blinked. Really? You should aim more carefully. Boy nodded enthusiastically. I will. Marcus handed him the ball. The child smiled brightly before running back to his friends. Cole watched the entire exchange. You like kids? Marcus glanced at him. Honest. Cole smiled softly. They like you too. Marcus looked toward the laughing children. I don't think they're afraid of me. They don't know you're supposed to be. Some reason. That thought pleased Marcus more than it should have. Later, the three of them stopped at a small food stall. Cole immediately ordered spicy noodles. Watson ordered dumplings. The vendor looked at Marcus. And for you, sir? Marcus answered simply, the same as him. Cole turned in surprise, copying my order. It seemed efficient. Cole laughed. Careful, you might accidentally start enjoying yourself. Marcus calmly accepted the bowl when it arrived. He took one bite, then another. Cole watched him expectantly. Well, it's good. Good. Marcus looked at him. Very good. Cole raised both hands in victory. I knew it. The old vendor smiled warmly. You two brothers? Before Marcus could answer, Cole laughed. Oh no, we're definitely not brothers. The words hung in the air for a brief second. Marcus wasn't sure why, but hearing that answer made something in his chest feel unexpectedly lighter. As the afternoon sun filtered through the trees, the three of them sat on a bench overlooking the lake. Watson leaned back with a contented sigh. I can't remember the last time I had a day like this. Cole nudged his father with an elbow. You work too much. Watson pointed toward Marcus. I learned from him. Marcus looked at the water. Perhaps. Cole smiled. Then both of you need fixing. Watson laughed. Certainly been trying. A comfortable silence settled between them. No urgent meetings, no reports, no bodyguards crowding around them. Just the sound of birds and distant laughter. Marcus realized he couldn't remember the last time he'd sat in a park doing absolutely nothing, and strangely, he didn't hate it. Across the lake, a man lowered a pair of binoculars. He quietly took several photographs of the three of them together. Then he made a brief phone call. They've started spending personal time together. A calm voice answered. I expected as much. Continue observing. The closer they become, the more valuable the Omega will be. Call ended. The man slipped back into the crowd unnoticed. For now. Chapter 10. The first name. Monday mornings were always hectic. Employees hurried through the halls with folders tucked under their arms. Assistants answered ringing phones and security teams exchanged overnight reports. The executive floor, however, was unusually lively, not because of work, because Cole had arrived carrying a large paper bag. The smell of freshly baked pastries drifted through the hallway. The receptionist smiled. Good morning, Cole. Morning. Did you bake those? Cole looked horrified. No, I value everyone's safety. Receptionist laughed. I bought them from the bakery near the park. He opened the bag. Help yourselves. Within moments the pastries had disappeared into grateful hands. One assistant sighed happily. You spoil us. Cole shrugged. You people work too hard. Marcus stepped out of his office. The conversations immediately quieted. His gaze landed on the nearly empty paper bag. You brought breakfast. Cole nodded. I did. Marcus looked around. It appears I was late. You were. The chocolate croissants disappeared first. Marcus looked genuinely disappointed for half a second. Cole noticed. His eyes widened. Wait, you wanted one? Marcus answered honestly. Heard they're good. Cole reached into his backpack. I hid one. Marcus blinked. Hid one? Cole proudly produced a neatly wrapped chocolate croissant. I had a feeling. Skip breakfast half the time, so I bought an extra. He held it out. The hallway became silent. Marcus accepted it carefully. Thank you. You're welcome. Receptionist quietly whispered to another employee. He remembered the boss. Other whispered back, and the boss actually looks happy. Later that morning, Marcus and Adrian reviewed shipment routes. Adrian pointed to the Eastern District. We should reroute these trucks. Marcus nodded. Agreed. A knock interrupted them. Cole leaned inside. Busy? Yes. Cole smiled apologetically. Come back. Marcus looked up. You may enter. Adrian glanced between them. Cole walked in carrying another cup of coffee. I accidentally bought two. Marcus looked at the cup. You don't drink coffee. I know, so I figured you would. Marcus accepted it. You planned this. Maybe. Adrian quietly excused himself. Review the remaining reports outside. The moment the door closed, Cole frowned. Did I interrupt? No. Sure, yes. You would have told me if I had. Marcus met his eyes. I always tell the truth. Cole smiled. I know. The conversation drifted naturally. So, Cole leaned back in the chair. Do you ever get tired? Marcus considered the question, physically, mentally. Sometimes. What do you do then? I continue working. Cole laughed. That explains a lot. Marcus looked at him. What do you do when you're tired? I find someone who makes me laugh. Marcus nodded slowly. And if no one's around? Cole smiled. I annoy Dad. Marcus almost smiled. Noticed, that afternoon. A heated argument broke out between two warehouse supervisors. Their raised voices echoed through the executive floor. Employees immediately stepped aside. Marcus walked toward them. The argument stopped instantly. Neither man dared speak. Marcus listened quietly as both explained their side. He asked 3 questions, read 2 reports, then gave his decision. The problem was solved within minutes. No shouting, no threats, just calm authority. As Marcus turned to leave, he noticed Cole standing nearby watching. What? Cole smiled. Amazing. Marcus paused. I solved a logistics dispute. I know, you listen before deciding. People don't. Marcus looked at him for a moment. Listening is more useful than shouting. Cole nodded thoughtfully. Like that evening, the rain returned, not as heavily as before, just enough to leave the streets glistening beneath the city lights. Marcus and Cole stood beneath the headquarters entrance waiting for their respective cars. Cole looked up at the sky. Actually like rainy days. Marcus glanced at him. Why? They slow people down. They notice things, the smell of the air, the sound of the rain. Little cafes they usually walk past. Marcus listened quietly. Cole looked over. What? You notice many things. Cole smiled sheepishly. I guess. A comfortable silence settled between them. Then without thinking, Cole spoke. Marcus. Name slipped out naturally. No title, no hesitation, just Marcus. The alpha looked at him for a brief moment. Neither of them said anything. Cole's eyes widened. Oh, I didn't mean, it's fine, you sure? Marcus gave a small nod. I prefer it. Cole blinked. Really? Been boss for so long? Marcus looked toward the rain-soaked streets. I'd almost forgot what it sounds like. A slow smile spread across Cole's face. "'Kay then, Marcus." The first time in years, hearing his own name spoken aloud felt unexpectedly warm across the lobby. Watson stepped out of the elevator just in time to hear it. He stopped walking. Looked at Marcus, looked at Cole, then quietly looked up at the ceiling. Someone up there. Please remind my son that my boss has a first name for a reason. Receptionist failed to hold back her laughter. Even Marcus's shoulders seemed just a little less tense as he walked toward his waiting car. Neither he nor Cole noticed that the distance between them had become just a little smaller. Chapter 11. The birthday surprise. The executive floor was unusually quiet that Tuesday morning. Not because everyone was busy, because everyone was trying very hard to pretend they weren't whispering. The receptionist leaned toward Adrian. Are you sure today's his birthday? Adrian nodded. Positive. He never tells anyone. No, doesn't celebrate. Receptionist frowned. That's sad. Adrian looked toward Marcus's office. Boss believes birthdays are just another day. A voice suddenly joined the conversation. That's depressing. Everyone turned. Cole stood behind them holding a cup of iced tea. When's his birthday? Today. Cole blinked. Today. Adrian nodded once. Cole looked toward Marcus's office. You mean, he's spending his birthday buried in paperwork? I'm afraid so. Cole sighed dramatically. That's unacceptable. Inside his office, Marcus was reviewing shipment schedules. A knock sounded. Come in. Cole peeked inside. Morning, Marcus. Good morning. Cole studied him for a moment. You forgot something. Marcus looked up. I did. Yes. What? Cole smiled. Happy birthday. Silence. Marcus blinked once. How did you know? I have my sources. Marcus glanced toward the hallway. Adrian, a muffled voice immediately answered from outside. I regret nothing, boss. Cole laughed. Marcus let out a quiet sigh. Thank you. That's it. What else should I say? I don't know. Maybe. Thank you, Cole. You're my favorite Omega. Marcus looked at him with complete seriousness. Only met one Omega named Cole. Cole burst into laughter. I walked right into that one. An hour later, Marcus was called into a strategy meeting. The moment the conference room doors closed, Cole clapped his hands together. Operation Birthday begins. Executive staff looked at him. You have a plan? Obviously. For the next 2 hours, the entire executive floor became a secret construction site. One assistant ordered a cake, another bought balloons. The chefs prepared Marcus's favorite dinner after Watson reluctantly admitted what it was. Adrian quietly arranged Marcus's schedule so he would return exactly on time. Watson watched everything with folded arms. I can't believe I'm helping. Cole looked at him. You love him too, Watson sighed. He's the best boss I've ever had. Exactly, so today, he deserves to feel like more than just a boss. Early evening, everything was ready. The lights were turned off. Employees hid behind desks and pillars. Even the security guards participated. Cole stood near the entrance holding a small wrapped gift. You nervous? Watson asked. A little. Why? I don't know if he'll like surprises. Watson smiled knowingly. He won't. Cole's shoulders slumped. Oh, at first, the elevator doors opened. Marcus stepped out carrying several folders. The hallway was completely dark. He frowned. Adrian, no answer. He took another step. Then the lights came on. Happy birthday. The shout echoed through the executive floor. Confetti floated through the air. Marcus stopped walking, completely still. The employees smiled nervously. Nobody could read his expression. After several long seconds, Cole walked forward. Happy birthday, Marcus. He held out the neatly wrapped gift. Marcus looked at it. For me? Well, I doubt Watson wants another mug. Several people laughed. Marcus accepted the gift with unusual care. What is it? Open it. Inside the box was a simple fountain pen, dark blue, elegant. On the side, engraved in silver letters, were the words, for Marcus, nothing else. No title, no rank, just Marcus. His fingers rested lightly over the engraving. The office became completely silent. Watson quietly watched his boss. He had worked beside Marcus for 15 years. He had seen the Alpha receive expensive watches, luxury cars, rare artwork, custom-made weapons. Marcus had thanked people politely for all of them. But never had Watson seen him stare at a simple gift for this long. Finally, Marcus spoke. "It's beautiful," Cole smiled. "I thought so too." Marcus looked at him. "Thank you, this time." Those two words carried far more emotion than before. The cake was brought out moments later. Someone began singing, others quickly joined in. Marcus looked mildly embarrassed. "I don't believe this is necessary," Cole grinned. "It absolutely is," Watson laughed. "Boss, you've made all of us birthdays worth celebrating. It's only fair we celebrate yours." Marcus looked around the room. People were smiling, laughing, talking, not because they feared him, because they wanted him there. It was unfamiliar. But not that evening. Most employees had gone home. Marcus stood alone in his office, turning the fountain pen over in his hand. A quiet knock interrupted his thoughts. Cole stepped inside. Everyone left. "I know. You okay?" Marcus looked at the pen again. "When I was younger, my birthday usually meant another year of responsibility. No celebrations, no gifts, just work." Cole listened without interrupting. Marcus looked up. He glanced at the pen. "Is the first birthday I can remember enjoying." Cole's smile softened. "I'm glad." A comfortable silence settled between them. Then Cole folded his arms with mock seriousness. "So?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "So, now you owe me a birthday present when mine comes." Marcus almost smiled. "Keep that in mind." "You'd better." As Cole turned to leave, Marcus spoke quietly. "Cole," he looked back. "Thank you for the pen, not for the cake, but for reminding him that even the busiest lives deserved moments worth remembering." Cole understood without needing the words explained. He simply smiled. "Welcome, Marcus." Chapter 12. The scent. Nearly a month had passed since Cole first walked into Blackcrest headquarters without anyone noticing exactly when it happened. He had become part of everyone's daily routine. The receptionist automatically set aside his favorite iced tea every morning. The cafeteria staff always prepared an extra serving of blueberry pancakes on Thursdays. The security guards no longer asked where he was going. Instead, they simply greeted him. "Morning, Mr. Cole." The executive floor felt different, brighter, livelier, less lonely. Marcus noticed it too. He would never admit it aloud, but every morning, his eyes searched the hallway outside his office. If Cole's desk was occupied, the day somehow felt normal. If it was empty, found himself asking Adrian, "Has Cole arrived?" The first time it happened, Adrian had simply answered. Yet, the second time, he smiled. By the fifth, he stopped pretending not to notice. That Monday, Cole arrived almost an hour late. His hair was slightly messy. His hoodie was replaced by a neatly buttoned shirt. He looked unusually tired. The receptionist looked up. "Late?" Cole yawned. "I volunteered at the animal shelter until 3 in the morning. You should sleep." "I tried. It worked." "No." He laughed. "Go drink coffee." "Don't like coffee." "Then drink something." Marcus stepped out of his office just as Cole reached his desk. "You are late." Cole looked up. "I know, you usually arrive before 9. I overslept." Marcus studied him for a moment. "You look exhausted." Cole smiled sheepishly. "Survive?" Marcus frowned slightly. "No." Before Cole could respond, Marcus turned to Adrian. "Cancel my 10 o'clock meeting." Adrian blinked. "Boss, I'll take it online." He looked back at Cole. "Come with me." Cole tilted his head. "Am I in trouble?" "No." "Then why?" "You need breakfast." The entire executive floor became suspiciously quiet inside Marcus's office. A tray of food arrived from the cafeteria: fresh fruit, toast, eggs, juice. Cole stared at the table. "This is enough food for 3 people." Marcus calmly poured tea into 2 cups. "Then eat enough for 1." Cole laughed. "You really worry too much." Marcus looked at him. "You didn't sleep. You skipped breakfast. You've been working since dawn. Someone should." Cole smiled. "So, you're someone." Marcus didn't answer because, apparently, he was. As they ate, a comfortable silence settled over the room. Then Cole suddenly frowned. "What?" Marcus asked. Cole leaned forward slightly. "You smell different today." Marcus paused. "Different? Yeah, bad, just." Cole searched for the right word. "Warmer." Marcus looked at him curiously. "What exactly does that mean?" Cole shrugged. "I don't know. Megas notice sense more. I guess yours changed a little." Marcus had almost forgot. Secondary genders often had heightened senses, especially Omegas. He looked down at his tea. "What does it smell like?" Cole smiled. "It's hard to explain." "Of like?" He closed his eyes for a moment. "Cedar after rain." "Black tea." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "That's oddly specific." Cole laughed. "I told you, my nose is weird." Marcus couldn't help the faint smile that appeared. Noticed, outside, Watson had been walking toward Marcus's office with several contracts. As he reached the door, he heard the conversation inside. "Cedar after rain." Watson froze. His eyes slowly widened. "Oh, no." He quietly turned around, walked back to Adrian's desk. Adrian looked up. "Something wrong?" Watson lowered his voice. "My son just complimented the boss's scent." Adrian blinked. "Seriously?" Watson nodded. "I think we're entering dangerous territory." Later that afternoon, Marcus and Cole walked through one of Blackcrest's private gardens behind the headquarters. It was one of the few peaceful places Marcus ever visited. Cole looked around in amazement. "I didn't know this existed." "People do. It's beautiful." Neatly trimmed hedges surrounded winding stone paths. Small fountains flowed gently. Flowers bloomed despite the city's towering skyline. Cole smiled. "You come here often." "When I need to think." "Can see why." They continued walking. After a while, Cole stopped beside a large cherry tree. "It's quiet." Marcus looked toward the branches. "Most people avoid this place. They assume I'm working." Cole chuckled. "So even your garden scares people?" It appears so. Cole shook his head dramatically. We're fixing that. Marcus looked at him. Of course, you've adopted me. Don't remember agreeing to that. You gave me a desk, you eat breakfast. You let me call you Marcus. Cole grinned triumphantly. Too late. Marcus looked at the cheerful Omega standing beneath the cherry blossoms. Then something unexpected happened. He laughed. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, just a quiet, genuine laugh. The sound lasted only a second, but it echoed through the garden. Cole stared, his mouth slowly fell open. You, Marcus immediately cleared his throat. What, you laughed? I did. Real laugh. Apparently. Cole pointed at him with both hands. I knew you could do it. Marcus shook his head, unable to hide the small smile lingering on his face. You are impossible. Yet, Cole folded his arms proudly. You still keep me around. Marcus looked at him for a long moment. His answer came quietly. Yes, I do. Neither of them noticed, high above the garden wall. A tiny camera hidden among the branches silently captured the moment. Two smiles, one laugh, and the first crack. In the walls Marcus had spent years building around his heart. Chapter 13. The fever. The weather changed overnight. A cold wind swept through Asterra, bringing gray skies and a sharp drop in temperature. By 8 o'clock, most employees had already wrapped themselves in jackets. Cole walked into headquarters wearing only a light hoodie. The receptionist frowned. Where's your coat? Cole shrugged. I forgot it. You'll catch a cold. Be fine, he sneezed. The receptionist slowly folded her arms. You were saying? Cole rubbed his nose. That sneeze was unrelated. On the executive floor, Marcus stepped out of his office just as Cole arrived at his desk. He took one look at the Omega. You forgot your coat. Cole blinked. How did you know? Marcus looked at the thin hoodie. It wasn't difficult. Warm. You are shivering. Shivering enthusiastically. Marcus stared at him. Cole smiled weakly. It didn't sound convincing, did it? No. By lunchtime, Cole had sneezed 11 times, twice during a conversation with Adrian, 3 times while helping the finance department, 6 times while trying to convince Watson that he wasn't getting sick. Perfectly healthy. You just sneezed again. Coincidence. You said that 6 sneezes ago. They're all coincidences. Watson sighed. I raised a stubborn child. Marcus entered the break room just in time to hear the argument. He looked at Cole. Come here. Cole walked over obediently. Marcus placed the back of his hand against Cole's forehead. The entire room froze. Cole's eyes widened. Marcus frowned. Warm. Cole's cheeks turned slightly pink. I'm okay. Marcus looked at Watson. He has a fever. Watson immediately stood. Take him home. Cole protested at once. No, I promised the design team I'd finish their presentation. You can do it tomorrow. But no, Marcus spoke calmly. Going home. Cole looked from Marcus to Watson, then sighed dramatically. Been outnumbered. 20 minutes later, Watson received an urgent call from one of Blackcrest's warehouses. A shipment had gone missing. He looked torn. Have to go? Marcus nodded. I'll handle Cole. Watson blinked. Boss, I'll take him home. You don't have to. I know. Watson looked at Cole, then at Marcus, then back again. I never imagined I'd hear those words. Cole laughed weakly. I think I'm hallucinating. You have a fever. Point. The drive was unusually quiet. Rain tapped softly against the windows. Cole leaned his head against the glass. You really didn't have to do this. Marcus kept his eyes on the road. You would have walked home. Probably. The rain. Probably. Marcus sighed. You make poor decisions when you're ill. I make poor decisions when I'm healthy too. I'm aware. Cole smiled faintly. At least you're honest. They arrived at Watson's house just before 3. Marcus helped Cole inside. The Omega frowned. You can go. Marcus looked around the empty living room. Where is Watson? Warehouse. You'll be alone. Survived before. Marcus ignored the comment. He walked into the kitchen, opened the refrigerator, and quietly began preparing soup. Cole stood in the doorway, staring. Marcus, you cook? A little. I thought Mafia bosses only knew how to threaten people. Marcus glanced at him. I also know how to chop vegetables. Cole laughed, then immediately coughed. Marcus pointed toward the sofa. Sit. Yes, chef. Half an hour later, a bowl of hot soup rested on the coffee table. Cole tasted one spoonful. His eyes widened. This is amazing. Marcus sat in the armchair opposite him. It isn't. It is. Needs more pepper. Needs a restaurant. Marcus almost smiled. Think you're delirious. I think you're secretly talented. After eating, the medicine finally began making Cole sleepy. He curled up beneath a blanket on the sofa. Marcus continued answering emails on his tablet. The room became quiet after several minutes. A sleepy voice broke the silence. Marcus, thanks, taking care of me. Marcus looked up. Cole's eyes were already half closed. You would have done the same. Cole smiled drowsily. Yeah, I would have. Within moments, he was asleep. Marcus watched him for a while. His breathing was slow and peaceful. A strand of hair had fallen across his forehead. Without thinking, Marcus reached out and gently brushed it aside. His hand lingered for just a second before he quietly withdrew it. He stared at his own hand. Why had he done that? The question remained unanswered. The front door opened just after sunset. Watson hurried inside. How is he? Marcus looked toward the sleeping Omega. The fever has gone down. Watson smiled with relief. Thank you. Marcus nodded. He'll be fine. Watson walked over to adjust the blanket around his son. Then he noticed something on the coffee table. Beside the empty soup bowl was Marcus's suit jacket, carefully folded, covering Cole's feet to keep them warm. Watson looked at Marcus. You left your jacket. Marcus glanced at the sofa. He seemed cold. Watson slowly smiled. For 15 years, he had watched Marcus dedicate himself completely to Blackcrest, to duty, to responsibility. Never once had he seen his boss care for someone this gently outside their organization. He looked back at his sleeping son, then quietly muttered to himself, You're in trouble, boss. Marcus raised an eyebrow. What was that? Watson smiled innocently. Nothing at all. But deep down, Watson had begun to realize something. Marcus wasn't simply being kind anymore, he was starting to care, and although Marcus himself hadn't recognized it yet, the first person to notice the change was the father of the Omega, who had unknowingly become the center of his quiet, guarded world. Chapter 14. The realization. 3 days passed before Cole returned to Blackcrest headquarters. The fever was gone, his energy, however, had somehow doubled. He walked into the lobby carrying a paper bag. "I'm back," the receptionist smiled with obvious relief, "feeling better, completely. You should have rested another day. I would have gone insane. You've been home for 3 days, exactly," she laughed. "Building was too quiet without you," Cole grinned. "I missed everyone too." On the executive floor, Marcus was reading a contract when Adrian entered. "Cole is back." Marcus looked up almost immediately. "Has he fully recovered?" According to him. "I'm too stubborn to stay sick." Marcus closed the file. That sounds like something he'd say. "It does." Adrian smiled to himself. "You seem relieved." Marcus stood. "I was simply asking." Of course. A few moments later, Marcus stepped out of his office. Cole was arranging pastries on the break room table. The moment he noticed Marcus, he smiled brightly. "Morning, Marcus." Marcus looked him over carefully. "No fever, nope. No cough, nope. You slept almost 10 hours. Marcus nodded once. "Good." Cole tilted his head. "Were you worried?" Marcus answered without hesitation. "Yes." The hallway fell silent. Cole blinked. "You were?" Marcus seemed to realize how naturally the answer had come, but he didn't take it back. "You were ill." "I was concerned." Cole smiled softly. "Thanks." The conversation ended there, but every employee who had overheard it looked at one another. The receptionist quietly typed into the office group chat, "Receptionist, boss admitted he was worried." "Accountant, this is not a drill." "Security confirmed." "HR, they're adorable." Around noon, Blackcrest received troubling news. One of their warehouses had been attacked overnight, not heavily, just enough to send a message. Marcus gathered his executives in the conference room. "The attackers," Adrian answered, "they left no insignia." Watson frowned. "But the method resembles Benston's organization." Marcus nodded. "I reached the same conclusion." Room grew quiet. "If Benston is becoming more active," Marcus continued, "everyone's security increases immediately." Watson asked, including Cole. Marcus met his gaze, especially Cole. No one argued after the meeting. Marcus found Cole watering the small cactus on his desk. "You have a moment?" "Sure." They walked into Marcus's office. Marcus closed the door. "Need you to promise me something." Cole noticed the seriousness in his voice. "What is it?" "If anything feels unusual, if someone follows you, if anything seems wrong, you tell me immediately." Cole nodded. "Okay." Marcus looked directly into his eyes. "I'm serious." "So am I promise." Marcus studied him for another second. Satisfied, he nodded. "Good." That evening, Marcus remained at headquarters long after everyone else had left. Only Adrian was still working. He knocked lightly before entering. "You should go home." Marcus didn't look up from the files. "In a while." Adrian remained standing. "Boss." Marcus finally looked at him. "What?" Adrian hesitated, then spoke carefully. "May I ask you something personal?" Marcus leaned back slightly. "You may." "When Cole was sick, you canceled meetings, you drove him home, you cooked for him, you stayed until Watson returned." Marcus remained silent. Adrian continued, "Today, the first thing you did after hearing he was back was check if he'd recovered." Marcus folded his hands on the desk. "Yes." Adrian smiled gently. "Do you know why?" Marcus answered immediately. "He's important." "Why?" "He's Watson's son." Adrian waited. Marcus continued, "He's kind, makes the staff happier, improves morale." Adrian nodded. "Anything else?" Marcus opened his mouth then stopped because every answer that came to mind wasn't about the organization, it wasn't about productivity or morale, it was about the way Cole laughed, the way he filled silent rooms with conversation, the way he always remembered whether Marcus had eaten, the way he looked genuinely happy whenever Marcus smiled. Marcus looked out the window toward the city lights for the first time. He asked himself a question he had carefully avoided. When did I start looking for him every morning? When did his safety become more important than my own comfort? When did my office begin feeling empty whenever he wasn't there? The answers came quietly, without permission, without warning. Marcus closed his eyes for a brief moment, then, almost too softly to hear, he admitted the truth. "I've fallen for him." The words hung in the quiet office. Adrian wasn't surprised, he simply smiled. "I know." Marcus looked at him. "You knew for weeks." "So did half the executive floor." Marcus sighed deeply. "Was I truly that obvious?" Adrian chuckled. "Spent years treating everyone with respect. Only one person makes you forget to be just the boss." Marcus looked toward the empty desk outside his office. Cole had gone home hours earlier, yet somehow, the hallway still felt as though he were there. Marcus let out a quiet breath. For years, he had controlled every aspect of his life, every decision, every risk, every emotion, but this had happened so gradually that he hadn't even noticed. Marcus Black, the calm, feared leader of Blackcrest, had fallen in love with the one person who never treated him like a mafia boss. He had fallen for the Omega who argued over French fries, rescued kittens, made him celebrate birthdays, and called him by his name. For the first time in years, the unshakable Alpha found himself facing something he couldn't command: his own heart. Chapter 15. A quiet decision. Marcus didn't sleep much that night. He wasn't troubled, he wasn't conflicted, he simply thought. For years, every major decision in his life had been made with logic. This one refused to obey logic. He cared about Cole, not because Cole was Watson's son, not because he brightened the office, not because everyone liked him. He cared because Cole was Cole. Marcus looked out the window of his penthouse as dawn slowly painted Asterra gold. Then he made a quiet decision. "I won't rush him. If Cole never returned his feelings, Marcus would accept it. The last thing he wanted was for Cole to feel pressured by the difference in their ages, positions, or secondary genders. He valued Cole's happiness more than his own desires. That realization surprised even him later that morning. Cole bounced onto the executive floor carrying a paper bag. Breakfast delivery, the employees laughed. What did you bring today? Cinnamon roll. Receptionist clapped happily. My favorite, I remembered. Marcus stepped out of his office just in time to hear that. You remember everyone's favorite food? Cole shrugged. It makes buying breakfast easier. Marcus looked at the bag. Did you remember mine too? Cole smiled. Of course. He reached inside and handed Marcus a neatly wrapped blueberry pastry. Know you like blueberry now. Marcus accepted it. A small warmth settled in his chest. It wasn't the pastry, it was the fact that Cole had remembered around noon. Adrian entered Marcus's office. You seem calmer. Marcus looked up, made a decision. Oh, I won't confess. Adrian blinked. You won't? Marcus shook his head. Unless Cole chooses me first. Why? Marcus answered quietly. He deserves the freedom to decide without feeling obligated. Adrian smiled. I think that's exactly why you deserve him. Marcus looked back down at the documents, pretending not to hear. Meanwhile, Cole was helping the finance department organize archived files. He held up a thick folder. Why do you still keep paper copies? The accountant sighed dramatically. Ask the boss. Cole walked into Marcus's office carrying the folder. Question. Marcus looked up. Yes, why are there paper files when computers exist? Marcus answered calmly. Digital records can be hacked. Paper cannot. Cole thought for a moment. That's actually a good point. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Sound surprised. I was hoping you'd say something boring. I apologize for disappointing you. Cole laughed. Survive. That afternoon, the executive assistants gathered in the break room. The office group chat was unusually active. Receptionist. Do you think boss knows? HR knows. What? Receptionist. That he's in love. Security. He definitely knows by now. Intern. Does Cole know? Accountant. Absolutely not. Receptionist. He's oblivious. The older secretary smiled. Poor boss. Fell first. The younger one doesn't have a clue. Watson walked into the room. Everyone immediately fell silent. Watson looked around suspiciously. Why does everyone stop talking when I arrive? No reason. He narrowed his eyes. You're hiding something. Nope, Watson sighed. I don't like this building anymore. Later that evening, Blackcrest's intelligence division received an urgent report. A convoy transporting one of Marcus's business partners had been ambushed. Marcus immediately gathered a response team. We leave in 5 minutes. Adrian nodded. Vehicles are ready. Cole happened to walk past the conference room. He noticed the tense atmosphere. What's going on? Marcus looked at him. Work. Cole frowned. Dangerous work. Marcus didn't answer. The silence was answer enough. Cole stepped closer. Be careful. Marcus met his eyes. I will. Don't skip dinner. A few executives couldn't help smiling, even during a crisis. Cole's biggest concern was whether Marcus had eaten. Marcus gave the smallest nod. I'll try. Cole smiled. Good. 2 hours later, the operation ended successfully. The convoy was rescued. The attackers retreated before Marcus's team could capture them. Back at headquarters, Marcus returned to his office just before midnight. He loosened his tie and sat down heavily. The day had been exhausting. Then he noticed something on his desk. A small paper bag. Inside was a neatly packed dinner, still warm. Attached to it was a handwritten note. You always tell me to eat when I'm not taking care of myself, so this time I'm telling you, don't skip dinner. Cole. Marcus stared at the note for a long time. Then, without realizing it, he smiled, a genuine, quiet smile that no one else was there to see. He unfolded the note once more before carefully placing it inside the drawer of his desk instead of throwing it away. For most people, it was just a reminder to eat. For Marcus, it became the first thing he had ever kept, simply because someone he cared about had written it. Outside his office, hidden in the darkness of the hallway, Watson had returned to pick up some forgotten documents. He paused when he saw Marcus quietly reading the same note again. Watson didn't interrupt. He simply smiled to himself. You're in deeper than I thought, boss. Then he quietly walked away, leaving Marcus alone with a warm dinner and feelings that grew stronger with each passing day. Chapter 16. The festival night. A week passed peacefully for the first time in months. Blackcrest territory remained quiet. No attacks, no disputes, no emergency meetings. The city council announced the annual Asterra Lantern Festival, filling the streets with music, lights, and food stalls. Employees buzzed with excitement all morning. I haven't been in years. The fireworks are amazing. I heard they're adding floating lanterns this time. Cole overheard the conversation. His eyes lit up. I love festivals. Receptionist smiled. You should go. I probably will. She glanced toward Marcus's office. You should invite someone. Cole laughed. You mean Dad? She smiled mysteriously. I wasn't thinking of him. Around lunchtime, Marcus stepped out of his office. He noticed the unusually cheerful atmosphere. What's everyone discussing? Adrian answered. The Lantern Festival. Marcus nodded. I see. Cole looked over. Have you ever been? Marcus answered honestly. Once, when I was 19. After that, I was busy. Cole stared at him. So, you've skipped 13 festivals? Marcus thought for a moment. Apparently. Cole dramatically placed a hand over his heart. Marcus, that's tragic. Wasn't. Absolutely was. Marcus almost smiled. By late afternoon, employees began leaving early to meet their families. The headquarters gradually emptied. Cole packed his backpack. I'm heading out. Marcus looked up from his paperwork. Enjoy yourself. Cole hesitated, then asked casually. What about you? I still have work. Cole sighed. Of course you do. He stood there for another few seconds. Finally, he took a deep breath. You know what? What? Come with me. Marcus blinked to the festival. I appreciate the invitation. I have reports. Cole walked over and gently closed the folder Marcus was reading. They'll still be there tomorrow. Marcus looked at the closed folder, then at Cole. I don't belong in places like that. Cole smiled. Who decided that? Marcus didn't answer. You deserve one evening off. Marcus remained silent. Cole folded his arms. I'm not leaving until you say yes. You're stubborn. Heard. Marcus let out a quiet sigh. Very well. Cole's face immediately lit up. Really? Yes, you won't regret it. Marcus looked at the beaming Omega. I suspect I might. An hour later, the festival was already alive with laughter and music. Thousands of colorful lanterns floated above the streets. Children ran between game stalls. The scent of grilled food filled the evening air. Marcus stepped out of the car. He paused. The last time he had attended this festival, he had been a teenager with dreams far simpler than running an empire. Cole looked at him, nodded, as ready as I'll ever be. Within 10 minutes, Marcus realized something walking beside Cole unnoticed was impossible. Cole stopped at nearly every stall. Look, a shooting game. 5 minutes later, Cole had won a stuffed fox. He proudly handed it to Marcus. Marcus stared at the toy. Why, you look like you need emotional support. Marcus looked at the fox, then at Cole. Thank you. Cole burst into laughter. You actually accepted it. I didn't wish to offend the fox. As they continued walking, several people recognized Marcus. Whispers spread through the crowd. Isn't that Marcus Black, the Blackcrest boss? Who's with him? Cole noticed the curious stares. You okay? Marcus nodded. I'm used to it. Cole frowned slightly. That must get lonely. Marcus looked ahead. It does. Without saying anything, Cole stepped just a little closer until their shoulders brushed. If people were going to stare, then they could stare at both of them. Marcus noticed the gesture. He didn't say a word, but something warm settled quietly in his heart. They stopped at a small food stall. The elderly owner smiled warmly. You two make a handsome couple. Cole nearly choked on his drink. We're not. Marcus calmly handed the vendor the money. We'll have two. Cole stared at him. You didn't correct him. Marcus looked at the menu. It wasn't necessary. Oh, for reasons he couldn't explain. Cole suddenly became very interested in his noodles. His ears felt strangely warm later. The festival lights dimmed. An announcement echoed across the square. The floating lantern ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. Hundreds of people gathered beside the river. Volunteers handed everyone a paper lantern. Cole accepted two. He handed one to Marcus. What do we do? You write a wish. Marcus looked at the blank paper. I don't usually make wishes. Cole smiled. Several quiet minutes. They each rode in silence. When the signal was given, they gently released their lanterns onto the river. Hundreds of glowing lights drifted together beneath the night sky. Cole watched them with a peaceful smile. Beautiful. Marcus wasn't looking at the lanterns. He was looking at Cole. The golden light reflected in the Omega's eyes. The breeze played with his hair. He looked happy, completely, genuinely happy. Marcus smiled without realizing it. Then, almost instinctively, he glanced toward Cole's lantern. The writing wasn't fully visible. Only 3 words could be read before it floated away. Stay happy, Marcus. Marcus's eyes widened slightly. The wish hadn't been for himself. It had been for Marcus. At that same moment, Cole caught a glimpse of Marcus's lantern before it drifted beyond reach. He could only make out the last few words. Safe, always. Cole blinked. Safe. He looked at Marcus. Who was your wish for? Marcus met his gaze. Someone important. Neither of them asked another question. Neither realized they had written wishes for each other far above the festival. On the rooftop of a nearby building, a sniper's scope briefly settled on Marcus. Another man lowered the rifle. Tonight, a voice came through his earpiece. No, Benston says to wait. Boss is only beginning to discover what he has to lose. Rifle disappeared into its case as the festival lights continued to dance across the river, unaware that the peace surrounding Marcus and Cole was growing more fragile with every passing day. Chapter 17. Jealous. The morning after the Lantern Festival, Blackcrest headquarters felt unusually energetic. Everyone had stories to tell. I won 3 plush toys. My daughter made me eat 6 candy apples. I spent half my salary at the food stalls. Laughter echoed through the lobby. Marcus listened quietly as he walked toward the elevator. Several employees greeted him. Good morning, boss. Morning. He nodded politely and continued upstairs. The moment he stepped onto the executive floor, his eyes instinctively searched for one particular desk. It was empty. Marcus frowned almost imperceptibly. He isn't here yet. Adrian looked up from his tablet, realized what he had asked. Yes, called, said he'd be a little late. Marcus gave a small nod. I see. Adrian hid a smile. You asked before I even mentioned his name. Marcus chose not to comment. Nearly 40 minutes later, the elevator doors opened. Cole walked out carrying 3 large shopping bags. Morning, the receptionist laughed. Did you buy the entire festival? Almost. He reached into one of the bags. I brought souvenirs. Within minutes, everyone on the executive floor had received a small gift. The receptionist got a handmade keychain. The accountant received a notebook decorated with tiny cats. The security guards each received locally roasted coffee beans. Even Adrian was handed an elegant fountain pen. You remembered I collect pens? Cole smiled. You mentioned it once. Adrian looked genuinely touched. Thank you. Marcus quietly watched from his office doorway. Cole remembered everyone's interests, everyone's favorite snacks, everyone's birthdays, everyone. Cole finally reached the last shopping bag. He smiled and walked toward Marcus. And this one's yours. Marcus accepted the neatly wrapped package. What is it? Open it. Inside was a dark navy tie, simple, elegant on the inside of the fabric, embroidered in silver thread. were two tiny cedar branches. Marcus ran a thumb lightly across the stitching. Cedar, Cole smiled. You remember, you told me your scent reminded me of cedar after rain. I thought it suited you. Marcus looked at the tie for several quiet seconds. I'll wear it, Cole grinned. I knew you'd like it. Just then, a cheerful female voice echoed down the hallway. Turned. A beautiful alpha woman in her early 30s stepped off the elevator. She wore an expensive white suit and walked toward Marcus with complete confidence, without hesitation. She wrapped him in a quick hug. It's been months. Marcus returned the brief embrace politely. Welcome back, Alina. Cole blinked. Alina, she stepped back and smiled. You look exhausted. Been working, as always, she laughed. You never change. Cole quietly looked away. Something felt strange. Adrian noticed immediately. He leaned toward Cole. She's the CEO of one of Blackcrest's partner companies. They've worked together for years. Cole nodded. Oh, he smiled. That's good, but the smile didn't quite reach his eyes throughout the meeting. Elena and Marcus discussed business occasionally. They laughed about old memories. Cole passed by the conference room twice each time. He caught another glimpse of Marcus smiling. He smiles like that with other people too. The thought surprised him. Why should it matter? It shouldn't, so why? Did his chest feel a little? The meeting ended. Elena approached Cole. So, you're Cole. Cole smiled politely. I am, extended her hand. Melina. Heard so much about you. Cole blinked. About me, she nodded. Marcus looked slightly uncomfortable. Cole noticed. What kind of things? Elena laughed. Oh, that you're fearless. You argue with Marcus. You make him eat. You somehow convinced him to attend the Lantern Festival. Cole slowly turned toward Marcus. You told people about me. Marcus cleared his throat. It came up in conversation. Cole couldn't stop smiling. It came up. Elena laughed. Marcus talks about you more than he realizes. Marcus looked at her. Elena, she raised both hands innocently. What? I'm only telling the truth. A little later, Elena left after finishing her visit. She waved goodbye. Take care, Marcus. You too. As the elevator doors closed, the hallway became quiet again. Cole stared absent-mindedly at his computer screen. He couldn't concentrate. Marcus noticed. You seem distracted. Cole forced a smile. Do I? Yes, I'm fine. Marcus studied him. He wasn't convinced near the end of the workday. Cole wandered onto the rooftop garden alone. The cool breeze helped clear his thoughts. He sighed. What's wrong with me? A familiar voice answered behind him. That depends. Cole turned around. Marcus had quietly joined him. I thought I'd find you here. Cole smiled faintly. You know me too well. Marcus stepped beside him. Been quieter today. Cole looked out over the city. Can I ask you something? Of course. Elena. Marcus waited. Are you close? Marcus nodded. We've been friends for many years. Oh. Cole looked down at his hands. She seems amazing. Is another silence. Marcus glanced sideways. Cole, you jealous? Cole's head snapped toward him. What? Marcus's expression remained calm. Looked unhappy since you met her. Cole immediately laughed. Jealous? No, that's ridiculous. Marcus nodded. If you say so. Cole looked away again. His ears had turned faintly red. Jealous me? Of course not. Then why had seeing someone hug Marcus made his heart sink? Why had hearing Marcus laugh with someone else bothered him? Why had he felt relieved when Elena finally left? Cole swallowed quietly for the first time. A thought crossed his mind that he had never allowed himself to consider. Do I? Like Marcus, the possibility lingered in the evening air, and for the first time since they met, it was Cole's heart that had begun asking questions. Chapter 18. The protective instinct. The days after Elena's visit were different, not dramatically, not obviously, just enough for the people around them to notice. Cole caught himself looking toward Marcus's office more often than before, whenever Marcus laughed with someone. Even if it was only a polite smile, Cole found himself wondering why it bothered him. He had no answer, so he buried the feeling beneath jokes and sarcasm. Marcus, meanwhile, had become painfully aware of every small change in Cole's expressions. When Cole smiled, Marcus relaxed. When Cole looked tired, Marcus noticed immediately. When Cole seemed distracted, Marcus quietly wondered if he had done something wrong. Neither of them understood what was happening. Everyone else did. Tuesday afternoon. The executive floor was unusually busy. Representatives from several partner organizations had arrived for a quarterly meeting. The hallways were crowded. Security had doubled. Cole carried a stack of documents toward the conference room. As he rounded a corner, a young alpha executive from another organization accidentally bumped into him. The papers scattered across the floor. Oh, so sorry. Cole laughed awkwardly. It's okay. Alpha immediately knelt to help gather the papers. My fault. I wasn't looking where I was going. No harm done. Two of them smiled politely while collecting the files. At that exact moment, Marcus stepped out of the conference room. His eyes landed on the scene. The unfamiliar Alpha was kneeling very close to Cole, laughing with him. Before Marcus realized what he was doing, he was already walking toward them. Take those. Both men looked up. Marcus calmly accepted the papers from the visitor. Thank you for helping. Alpha stood immediately. Of course, Mr. Black. Marcus gave a polite nod. I'll take it from here. Executive excused himself and returned to the meeting. Cole looked at Marcus curiously. You know, I could have picked those up myself. I know, so why did you? Marcus paused. I happened to be nearby. Cole smiled mischievously. Sure. From across the hallway, the receptionist leaned toward Adrian. Was boss interrupting? Adrian nodded without taking his eyes off his tablet. Yes, I believe so. Jealous? Adrian thought for a moment. Protective? Receptionist grinned. Take that. Later that afternoon, Marcus and Adrian inspected one of Blackcrest's shipping warehouses as they walked between rows of cargo containers. Adrian spoke quietly. You stepped in rather quickly earlier. Marcus looked ahead. Visitor seemed respectful. So there was no problem. Marcus remained silent. Adrian smiled. Then why did you interrupt? Marcus answered honestly. I didn't like how close he was standing. Words left his mouth before he could stop them. Adrian couldn't hide his smile. I see, Marcus sighed. Is this what people call jealousy? I believe so. Marcus rubbed his temple. It's irrational. Usually is. Meanwhile, back at headquarters, Cole was helping Watson organize old records. Watson noticed his son sighing for the fourth time in 10 minutes. What's wrong? Nothing. You've sighed 4 times. 5. There. You did it again. Cole rested his chin on the desk. Dad, HM, have you ever? He hesitated. Like someone without meaning to. Watson looked at him carefully. That's a very specific question. Cole quickly looked away. Just asking. Watson smiled knowingly. I have. What happened? I married your mother. Cole couldn't help smiling. You really loved her, didn't you? Very much. Watson's expression softened. She had this annoying habit of stealing food from my plate. Cole blinked. Seriously? Watson laughed. I never realized. You inherited that from her. Cole looked down at the desk. A quiet smile spread across his face that evening. The rain returned once again. Marcus finished his meetings later than usual as he stepped into the lobby. He noticed Cole standing outside beneath the entrance canopy. What are you doing? Cole looked over, waiting for the rain to stop. Won't for another hour. I know. Marcus looked at the dark clouds. My car is here. Cole smiled. I don't want to bother you. Marcus answered simply, you aren't. He opened the umbrella. Come on. Cole walked beside him halfway to the car. A motorcycle suddenly sped past the entrance far faster than it should have. Its rider deliberately swerved toward the sidewalk before accelerating away. Everything happened in an instant. Marcus instinctively wrapped an arm around Cole's waist and pulled him behind himself. The motorcycle missed them by only a few feet. Security guards immediately rushed into the street. But the rider had already disappeared into the traffic. The silence that followed felt unusually heavy. Cole looked up. Marcus's arm was still firmly around him. His heartbeat was calm, but his eyes were colder than Cole had ever seen. Adrian hurried outside. Boss, Marcus didn't look away from the road. Find that motorcycle. Immediately, boss. The guards dispersed at once. Only then did Marcus slowly release Cole. Are you hurt? Cole blinked. No, I'm fine. Cole looked at Marcus for a long moment. You really thought I was going to get hit? Marcus met his eyes. I wasn't willing to find out. The words were spoken quietly, matter-of-factly, yet they echoed in Cole's heart far louder than Marcus intended. Neither of them noticed. A black sedan parked across the street slowly drove away. Inside, a man picked up his phone. Staged near miss worked. A calm voice answered, and Marcus, he reacted exactly as expected. Man smiled coldly. He didn't think. Protected the Omega before protecting himself. A long silence followed, then Benston finally spoke. Excellent. The weakness is no longer a theory. Has become a certainty. The call ended far away beneath the city lights. A dangerous plan had just moved one step closer to becoming reality. Chapter 19. The almost confession. After the motorcycle incident, Marcus increased security around Blackcrest without explanation. Additional guards patrolled the headquarters. Vehicles were inspected more thoroughly. Cole noticed immediately. You've doubled the security. Marcus nodded. Yes. A precaution. Cole frowned. This is because of me, isn't it? Marcus met his gaze. This is because someone is testing our defenses. Cole wasn't convinced, but he chose not to argue. The office staff, however, had a very different concern. The receptionist sighed dramatically. I can't take this anymore. Accountant looked up. What now? They're hopeless. Who? Marcus and Cole. Older secretary smiled. Getting closer every day. Neither of them realizes what's happening. Intern groaned. At this rate they'll confess when they're 50. Everyone nodded in agreement. That afternoon, Cole wandered into Marcus's office carrying 2 cups of tea. No coffee today? Marcus asked. Been drinking too much of it. So now you're supervising my caffeine intake. Someone has to. Marcus accepted the tea. Thank you. Cole sat across from him. The room fell into its usual comfortable silence. It was strange in the beginning. Silence between them had felt awkward. Now it felt peaceful. Neither of them needed to fill every moment with conversation. After several minutes, Cole suddenly smiled. What? Marcus asked. I was just thinking. First day we met, Marcus looked at him. You called me grumpy. You were grumpy. I still am. Cole laughed. No, you're much nicer now. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Am I? You smile. Sometimes you eat breakfast. Occasionally you take days off. Rarely you even carried a kit. Marcus sighed quietly. I should never have held that kit. Cole grinned. Too late. Your reputation will never recover. A knock interrupted them. Adrian stepped inside. Boss, the East Harbor representatives have arrived. Marcus nodded. Be there shortly. Adrian looked toward Cole. Welcome to join us if you'd like. Cole shook his head. Probably fall asleep listening to business negotiations. Marcus smiled faintly. That's a wise decision. The meeting lasted nearly 3 hours. By the time Marcus returned, the executive floor was almost empty. Only a few desk lamps remained lit. Cole was still there, fast asleep. His head rested on folded arms at his desk. An open book lay beside him. Marcus walked over quietly. He noticed a light jacket draped over the back of the chair. Too thin, the air conditioning had made the hallway chilly. Without a word, Marcus removed his own suit jacket and gently placed it over Cole's shoulders. Cole stirred slightly but didn't wake. Marcus looked at him for a long moment. His expression softened. So stubborn. He whispered almost inaudibly. You never know when to rest. From the end of the hallway, the receptionist had returned to retrieve her forgotten phone. She froze, her eyes widened. She quietly backed away before Marcus noticed her. 30 seconds later, the office group chat exploded. Receptionist he put his jacket on. Cole HR what? Receptionist like a movie. Security boss's doomed intern. I need a confession immediately. A few minutes later, Cole slowly opened his eyes. He blinked sleepily, then looked down. Marcus's jacket covered his shoulders. He looked toward Marcus's office. The door was slightly open. Marcus was already back to work. Cole gently touched the sleeve. It still carried Marcus's scent, cedar after rain, for reasons he couldn't explain. His heart skipped a beat. Later that night, Marcus finally finished his paperwork. He stepped out of his office. Cole was waiting near the elevator holding the folded jacket. You forgot this. Marcus accepted it. Thank you. A quiet silence settled between them. Then Cole spoke. I've been thinking a lot lately. Marcus looked at him. About us. Marcus's heartbeat slowed. Cole took a small breath. For one brief moment, Marcus thought the impossible was about to happen. Cole looked into his eyes, then suddenly laughed nervously and scratched the back of his neck. I think we've become really good friends. Marcus smiled gently. I think so too. Only he knew how much those words hurt. Not because friendship wasn't precious, it was, but because Marcus had hoped, just for a second, that Cole was about to say something more. As they walked toward the elevator together, neither of them noticed Watson standing around the corner. He had arrived to pick up a forgotten file. He watched the two of them quietly, then smiled to himself. Almost there, he murmured, just both too scared to take the last step. Far away, in the upper floor of a luxurious skyscraper, Benston stood before a map of Asterra. Red pins marked Blackcrest's warehouses, blue pins marked Marcus's regular routes. Only one gold pin stood alone. Cole Watson. Benston looked at it with cold amusement. Protect him, he said softly. Treasure him, because when I finally take him away, I'll take everything else with him. He smiled. The game had only just begun. Chapter 20. The first hug. Autumn settled gently over Asterra. The mornings became cooler. Golden leaves drifted through the streets, and the city seemed quieter than usual. Nearly 2 months had passed since Marcus and Cole first met. Somehow, without either of them planning it, being together had become effortless. If Marcus left for a meeting, Cole would absent-mindedly ask Adrian, when will he be back? If Cole disappeared for more than half an hour, Marcus would casually ask, has anyone seen Cole? Neither of them realized how often they looked for the other. Everyone else did that morning. Cole arrived carrying a large cardboard box. The receptionist smiled. What's in there? Cookies. She blinked. You baked them? Cole nodded proudly. I did. Should we be worried? Probably. Receptionist laughed. You admitted it. I've grown as a person. Within minutes, the entire executive floor was sampling Cole's homemade cookies. The reactions were mixed. Actually good. I expected much worse. They're a little too sweet. Cole pointed dramatically. That's a compliment. Accountant nodded. It is. Marcus stepped out of his office. Cole immediately walked over holding a small plate. You have to try one. Marcus looked at the cookie. Is it safe? Cole looked offended. I watched 3 tutorial videos. Marcus accepted the cookie, took one bite then another. Cole watched anxiously. Well, Marcus swallowed. They're good. Cole's shoulders relaxed. Really? Yes. A faint smile appeared on Marcus's face. Improved. Cole grinned proudly. Put that on my resume. Around lunchtime, an urgent alarm echoed through the building. Everyone froze. Adrian immediately checked his tablet. Boss. Alarm. Marcus frowned. Which floor? Archive room. Marcus stood instantly. Evacuate the building. Employees began moving toward the exits in an orderly manner. Smoke wasn't visible, but protocol was protocol. Marcus walked through every hallway, making sure no one had been left behind. As he reached the executive floor, he noticed one desk was still occupied. Cole looked up. My laptop froze. Marcus stared at him. Building is being evacuated. I know, I'm saving a file. Marcus walked over, closed the laptop, picked it up, then looked directly at Cole. We're leaving. Okay. The two of them reached the lobby just as firefighters arrived. Fortunately, the alarm had been triggered by an electrical fault. A small wiring fire had already been extinguished by the automatic suppression system. No one had been injured. Employees gathered outside while waiting for clearance to re-enter. Cole stood beside Marcus. False alarm. Marcus nodded. Fortunately, just then, the receptionist hurried over. Looked up. Your hand. Cole blinked. What? She pointed toward his right hand. A thin line of blood ran across one finger. Oh, I guess I cut it. Marcus immediately turned. Looked confused, probably while grabbing my laptop. Marcus took hold of Cole's hand without hesitation. The cut wasn't deep, but it was enough to bleed. Marcus looked at Adrian. First aid kit. Right away. Minutes later, Marcus carefully wrapped a small bandage around Cole's finger. You really didn't have to do this. Marcus didn't look up. I know, you keep saying that, because it's true. Cole smiled. Thanks. Marcus finished tying the bandage. There. Cole admired it. Done this before? Marcus nodded. Many times. I hope not on yourself. Marcus looked at him. Mostly. Answer made Cole's smile disappear. He quietly imagined the years Marcus had spent getting injured without anyone worrying about him. Something tightened painfully inside his chest. The building was declared safe an hour later. Everyone returned to work. As the afternoon passed, the incident became little more than an amusing story, except for one person. Cole. Just before sunset, he knocked on Marcus's office door. Come in. Cole stepped inside. Marcus looked up. Does your hand hurt? No. Then what is it? Cole hesitated, then asked quietly. When you got hurt before? Marcus waited. Who looked after you? The room fell silent. Marcus thought for a long moment. Finally, No one, look down. I figured, Marcus spoke gently, it comes with the position. No, Cole shook his head, it shouldn't. Marcus watched him. Cole slowly walked around the desk. Marcus frowned slightly. What are you doing? Cole stopped beside him then, without saying a word. He leaned down and wrapped his arms around Marcus. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't romantic, it was simply a warm, gentle hug. Marcus froze completely for several seconds. He didn't move. No one, not in years, had hugged him like this, not expecting anything, not asking for anything, just holding him. Cole spoke softly. No, it doesn't fix the past, but you don't have to face everything alone anymore. Marcus slowly closed his eyes very carefully. He lifted one hand and rested it lightly against Cole's back, returning the hug only for a moment, but willingly. When they finally stepped apart, neither of them spoke, neither knew what to call the feeling that had just passed between them. Outside the office, Watson stood frozen in the hallway, holding a folder he had completely forgotten about. His mouth slowly fell open, a few feet away. The receptionist, the accountant, Adrian, and two security guards had witnessed the entire scene through the slightly open blinds. The receptionist silently grabbed Adrian's sleeve. Adrian nodded once. Neither of them dared make a sound. Inside the office, Marcus looked at Cole with an expression no one had ever seen before. It wasn't the gaze of a feared mafia boss. It wasn't even the gaze of an alpha. It was simply a man looking at the person who had quietly become the safest place in his world. And for the first time, Cole's own heart began to wonder if friendship alone could ever explain why that hug had felt so natural, or why leaving Marcus's embrace had been unexpectedly difficult. Chapter 21. The Missing Omega. The hug changed nothing, and yet, it changed everything. Marcus and Cole didn't mention it, neither apologized, neither acted embarrassed, but from that day onward, quiet understanding settled between them. Their conversations became softer, their silences became more comfortable. The distance between them seemed to disappear without either of them taking another step. Monday morning, Marcus arrived at headquarters precisely at 8. He nodded to the receptionist. Good morning, boss. He glanced toward Cole's desk, empty. Marcus looked at his watch, 8 o'clock. He was probably just running late. Marcus entered his office by 8:30. The desk was still empty. Marcus pressed the intercom. Adrian. Yes, boss. Has Cole arrived? Not yet. Marcus looked back at the untouched desk. I see. Clock. Still no Cole. Marcus stopped reading the same page for the third time. He reached for his phone, then stopped. No, he's an adult. Don't overreact. He put the phone back down. 5 seconds later, he picked it up again before he could dial. A knock interrupted him. Watson entered. Morning, boss. Marcus looked up immediately. Where's Cole? Watson blinked. You don't know? Marcus slowly stood. Know what? Watson smiled sheepishly. I sent him to one of our flower shops this morning. Wanted to help an elderly employee who couldn't open because of a family emergency. Marcus let out a quiet breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. I see. Watson tilted his head. Were you worried? Marcus answered honestly. Yes. Watson smiled to himself. Tell him. Marcus immediately shook his head. No, not because he'll tease me. Watson laughed so loudly that two assistants peeked into the hallway around noon. The elevator doors finally opened. Cole walked out carrying several flower pots. Mission accomplished. The receptionist smiled. Finally here. I know. The flower shop was busier than expected. Marcus stepped out of his office. His eyes immediately found Cole. You returned. Cole blinked. Yeah. Marcus nodded once. Good. Then he calmly walked back into his office. Cole looked completely confused. What was that? The receptionist covered her mouth to hide a smile. Nothing. An hour later, Cole knocked on Marcus's office door. Come in. He walked inside carrying a small potted cactus. I brought you something. Marcus looked at the tiny plant. A cactus. It's impossible to kill. Cole placed it on the desk. I figured it matched your personality. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Are you calling me prickly? Cole grinned. Calling you durable. Marcus looked at the cactus, then at Cole. Except that as Cole turned to leave, Marcus spoke quietly. Cole. He looked back. This morning, I thought something had happened to you. Cole's playful smile faded. Marcus continued calmly. When I couldn't find you, I was concerned. Cole stared at him. You really were? Yes. Several seconds. Neither of them spoke. Then Cole smiled, a softer smile than usual. You could have called. Marcus blinked. I didn't want to disturb you. Cole laughed gently. Marcus, if I'm ever late, you can call. I won't mind. Marcus nodded. All right. That evening, the executive floor emptied as usual. Only Marcus, Adrian, Watson, and Cole remained. Watson stretched. I'm starving. Cole immediately stood. Let's order dinner. Marcus nodded. Agreed. Half an hour later. Boxes of noodles, fried rice, dumplings, and grilled vegetables covered the conference table. Everyone ate together. The atmosphere was surprisingly relaxed. Halfway through dinner, Cole reached across the table without looking. He stole a dumpling from Marcus's plate. Marcus watched him quietly. Cole happily ate it. Good. Watson sighed dramatically. That's the 5th time this month. Cole looked innocent. What? You keep stealing his food. Marcus calmly picked up another dumpling. I noticed. Watson pointed dramatically. And you never stop him. Marcus looked at Cole. He seems to enjoy it. Cole grinned victoriously. See. Watson looked toward the ceiling. My own son has found a new victim. Room erupted in laughter. Even Marcus chuckled. Watson placed a hand over his heart. Oh, now you're laughing too? Cole, what you've done. You've corrupted the boss. Cole proudly bowed from his chair. My work here is complete. Much later, after everyone had gone home, Watson returned to Marcus's office with a file he had forgot to sign. He stopped at the doorway. Marcus was sitting alone, not reading reports, not answering emails. Instead, he was carefully watering the tiny cactus Cole had given him, only a few drops, just enough. Watson smiled quietly. Boss, Marcus looked up. You should know something. What? Watson folded his arms. My son has given a lot of people gifts over the years. Marcus listened. You're the first person I've ever seen take care of one as if it were priceless. Marcus looked at the small cactus on his desk. His voice was almost a whisper. Because the person who gave it to me is. Watson froze for a moment. Neither of them spoke. Then Watson slowly smiled. He had just heard the calmest, most feared alpha in the city confess his feelings, without even realizing he had done so. Outside, far beyond Blackcrest's headquarters, a black car sat quietly beneath a street lamp. A man lowered his binoculars after watching Marcus's office window. He picked up his phone. Report. The boss's attachment is growing stronger. Benston's cold voice answered. Good. Him become completely dependent. Only then will taking Cole away break him beyond repair. Chapter 22. The dance, the first snow of the year, arrived unexpectedly. It wasn't heavy, just enough to dust the rooftops of Asterra and white. Employees gathered near the windows, admiring the view. It's beautiful. I wasn't expecting snow this early. I hope it stays through the weekend. Cole pressed his hands against the glass. I love snow. Marcus, passing by with a folder in hand, glanced outside. Seen it before. I have. It never gets old. Marcus looked at the small snowflakes drifting through the air. No, doesn't. That afternoon, the receptionist burst onto the executive floor holding a colorful flyer. Everyone, the staff looked up. Partner Charity is hosting its annual Winter Charity Gala this Saturday. She waved the invitation excitedly, asking Blackcrest to attend. Adrian took the flyer. It includes a fundraising auction, a formal dinner. Receptionist grinned, and dancing. Room immediately became much quieter. Everyone slowly turned toward Marcus. Marcus looked up from his paperwork. No, receptionist sighed. I knew you'd say that. Cole leaned against Marcus's office door. Never danced? Marcus answered honestly. No, never had a reason. Cole smiled mischievously. Now you do. Marcus raised an eyebrow. And what reason is that? I'm inviting you. Silence. The executive floor collectively stopped pretending to work. Marcus looked at Cole. A dance at the gala. You don't have to be good. Teach you. Marcus considered the proposal. I don't dance. Cole folded his arms. You also said you didn't celebrate birthdays. You went. You said you didn't go to festivals. You went. You said you couldn't smile. You proved yourself wrong. A few employees coughed into their sleeves to hide their laughter. Marcus sighed quietly. You're making a habit of this. Of what? Winning. Cole grinned. So, that a yes? Marcus looked at the hopeful expression on Cole's face. Very well. Receptionist silently pumped her fist in victory. Saturday evening arrived. The charity gala was held in one of Asterra's oldest ballrooms. Crystal chandeliers illuminated the polished marble floor. A string quartet played softly near the stage. Guests from across the city filled the hall. Marcus stepped inside wearing a perfectly tailored black suit. Cole stopped walking. While Marcus looked at him. What? You clean up nicely. Marcus glanced at Cole. The younger Omega wore a deep navy suit that matched his bright eyes. You look very handsome. Compliment slipped out before Marcus could stop it. Cole blinked. A faint blush colored his cheeks. Thanks. Throughout the evening, Marcus handled conversations with business leaders and charity organizers. Cole wandered from table to table, somehow making friends with nearly everyone. Even the elderly volunteers adored him. One grandmother pinched his cheek. What a sweet young man. Cole laughed. Don't embarrass me. You deserve it. Marcus watched from across the room without realizing it. He smiled eventually. The lights dimmed. The quartet began playing a slow melody. Couples gradually stepped onto the dance floor. Cole walked over. He held out his hand. Looked at it. I warned you. Never dance. Cole smiled warmly. Then trust me. Marcus placed his hand in Cole's for just a second. The entire ballroom seemed to disappear. Cole guided him gently onto the dance floor. Okay, left foot first. Marcus obeyed. Now right. Like this. Perfect. Doesn't feel perfect. Cole laughed. It will. First, Marcus was stiff, every movement carefully calculated, every step deliberate. Cole couldn't stop smiling. Relax, I'm trying. No, you're negotiating with the floor. Marcus looked down. Am I? Yes, you look like you're interrogating it. Marcus sighed. Never been insulted by someone teaching me. Multitasking. Several songs later, something changed. Marcus stopped counting his steps. He stopped worrying about making mistakes. Instead, he simply followed Cole's lead. The two of them moved slowly beneath the warm lights. Cole smiled. There, what? You're dancing. Marcus looked at him. Suppose I am. You know, Cole said softly. You learn fast. Marcus held his gaze. Have a good teacher. A brief moment, neither of them spoke. The music carried them gently across the ballroom. Around them, the world continued as normal. But for Marcus, the only thing that existed was the Omega smiling in front of him. A loud voice suddenly interrupted the moment. Cole, both of them turned. Watson stood at the edge of the dance floor, arms folded, looking thoroughly betrayed. Cole blinked. Dad, Watson pointed dramatically. Dancing with my boss? Cole laughed. Yes, you've never danced with your father. Cole stared. You hate dancing. That's not the point. Marcus quietly stepped back, trying very hard not to smile. Watson looked at him. And you? Marcus blinked. Me? You stole my son's first dance. The ballroom fell silent. Several nearby guests looked over curiously. Cole covered his face. Oh no. Marcus, maintaining his usual composure, answered calmly. I was invited. Watson placed a hand over his chest as though deeply wounded. So now you're taking his side. Cole couldn't hold it in anymore. He burst into laughter. Marcus's lips twitched upward. Even the musicians struggled not to smile. Finally, Watson sighed dramatically. Fine, next family gathering. I'm getting the first dance. Cole walked over and hugged his father. Deal, Watson grumbled. I still don't trust either of you. Marcus watched the father and son with quiet affection, a family loud, embarrassing, full of warmth. It was a world he had never truly belonged to. Yet somehow, standing beside Cole, it no longer felt out of reach. Across the ballroom, a man in an expensive gray suit watched the entire scene from the shadows. A discreet earpiece rested against his ear. He spoke quietly. Confirmed. The target is emotionally attached. The reply came instantly. Continue observing. Man slipped silently into the crowd. Neither Marcus nor Cole noticed that among the smiling guests, one pair of eyes wasn't there to celebrate, it was there to hunt. Chapter 23. The confession. Winter settled over Asterra. The city sparkled beneath strings of lights, and the cold air carried the scent of roasted chestnuts and fresh snow. Life at Blackcrest returned to its familiar rhythm. Morning meetings, endless paperwork, Cole stealing food from Marcus's plate, Marcus pretending to be annoyed. Neither of them realized their routines had quietly become the best part of each other's day. 3 days after the charity gala, Marcus stood alone in the rooftop garden before sunrise. Snow covered the stone paths. The city below was still asleep. He rarely came here anymore to think about work lately. He came because it reminded him of conversations with Cole. Footsteps echoed behind him. I knew I'd find you here. Marcus turned. Cole smiled as he approached, two steaming cups of hot chocolate in his hands. I figured tea would get cold too fast. Marcus accepted one. Thank you. They stood side by side, watching the snowflakes drift through the morning sky. You've been quiet lately. Cole broke the silence. Marcus nodded. I have. Everything okay? Mostly. Cole looked at him carefully. Mostly. Marcus took a slow breath. There had never been a perfect time. There never would be if he waited until everything was certain. He would wait forever. He looked at Cole. Cole, I need to tell you something. Cole immediately became serious. What is it? Marcus's voice remained calm, but his heartbeat had never been louder. When we first met, I thought you were troublesome. Cole laughed. I remember, you argued with me, you stole my food, you ignored my reputation. I still do. Marcus smiled faintly. I know. His expression gradually became more earnest. Then, you made the headquarters feel like a home. You reminded me to eat. You celebrated my birthday. You showed me kindness when I didn't know how to accept it. Cole listened without interrupting. You taught me that life could be more than responsibility. Marcus looked directly into his eyes, and somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you. Silence. Only the wind answered. Cole's eyes widened. He stared at Marcus as if the words had taken a moment to reach him. Marcus nodded once. I don't expect an answer today. I know our ages are different. Positions are different. I know you may never feel the same. If that's the case, respect your decision. Friendship will never change because of this. Cole lowered his gaze. His heart raced so hard it almost hurt. He had imagined this moment, not consciously, not intentionally, but in quiet dreams he never admitted to himself. Still, he couldn't answer, not because he didn't care, because he was afraid. Marcus deserved someone extraordinary, someone elegant, someone mature, someone worthy of standing beside the most respected alpha in Asterra. He looked at himself, a sarcastic Omega who still stole dumplings and teased the city's most feared Mafia boss. Marcus waited patiently. Cole smiled sadly. I don't know what I'm feeling yet. Marcus's expression remained gentle. That's all right. I don't want to lie to you. You don't have to. Cole looked relieved. Just, I need time. Marcus nodded. You have all the time you need. No pressure, no disappointment, no anger, only understanding. And somehow, that kindness made Cole's heart ache even more. Later that afternoon, the news spread through the executive floor, not because Marcus had told anyone, because Adrian had seen the two of them return together. Marcus looked calm. Cole looked like he had forgotten how to walk. The receptionist leaned toward Watson. Something happened. Watson frowned. What? I don't know. Look at them. Marcus quietly returned to work. Cole accidentally walked into the wrong office, then apologized to a coat rack. The receptionist covered her mouth. Oh, I think, he confessed. Watson's eyes widened. Already that evening, Cole wandered through the nearly empty city streets. Snow crunched beneath his shoes. His thoughts refused to slow down. I fell in love with you. Marcus's words echoed over and over in his mind. He remembered every breakfast, every ride home, every quiet conversation, every smile Marcus had learned because of him. Every moment Marcus had protected him without asking for anything in return. A small laugh escaped him. I'm an idiot. An elderly florist arranging flowers outside her shop smiled at him. Talking to yourself? Cole laughed sheepishly. A little. She looked at the smile on his face. You look like someone in love. Cole blinked. Do I? She nodded. Happiest smiles are always the ones people don't notice they're wearing. Cole stood there quietly, then looked up at the softly falling snow for the first time. He stopped asking himself whether he liked Marcus. Instead, he asked a different question. How long have I been in love with him? Without realizing it, the answer frightened him because it felt as though his heart had known, long before his mind had caught up, far across the city. In a luxurious office overlooking the skyline, Benston closed a report and smiled coldly. So, the confession has happened. He tapped a finger against the photograph of Cole. Good. Love makes people predictable. Predictable people are the easiest to destroy. Chapter 24. My answer. The days after Marcus's confession were awkward, not uncomfortable, just different. Marcus kept his promise. He never brought up his feelings again. He treated Cole exactly as he always had. He greeted him every morning, asked whether he had eaten, listened to his jokes, shared lunch with him. There was no pressure, no expectations, no guilt. That kindness only made Cole's heart more restless 3 days later. The executive floor was unusually quiet. Marcus had left early that morning for a meeting with several allied organizations. Cole absent-mindedly stirred the sugar in his tea. The receptionist noticed immediately. "You miss him." Cole nearly dropped his spoon. What?" she smiled. Looked toward his office 12 times. "I have not." "You have." Accountant looked up. "Actually, it was 14." Cole covered his face. "You people were bored." Watson walked past carrying a stack of folders. He looked at his son. "Why do you look like someone stole your favorite hoodie?" Cole sighed dramatically. "I'm thinking." Watson frowned. "That's dangerous." "Dad, I'm serious." "So am I." Cole couldn't help laughing. Around lunchtime, Cole wandered into the rooftop garden. Snow still covered the benches. Sat quietly watching the city below. Footsteps approached. He turned to his surprise. It was Alina. She smiled warmly. "I hoped I'd find you here." Cole stood politely. "Hi, I was in the building for a meeting." She leaned against the railing. "Been avoiding Marcus." Cole looked away. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to people who know him." Cole sighed. "I don't know what to do." Alina smiled gently. "Can I tell you something?" "Sure." "First time Marcus mentioned you, I thought he sounded different." Cole blinked. "He talked about me before we met." "Oh yes, told me about the fearless Omega who argued with him over breakfast." Cole laughed softly. "That sounds like me." Smiled while telling the story. Cole's smile faded. "I'd never seen that before." Alina looked toward the snowy skyline. "Marcus has always carried the weight of everyone around him. Protects people, solves problems. He rarely lets anyone protect him." She turned back toward Cole. "Then you appeared. You worried about whether he'd eat. You celebrated his birthday. You hugged him simply because you thought he'd been alone for too long." Cole looked down. "I didn't think it was a big deal." "It was." Alina smiled. "You became his safe place." Cole felt his eyes sting slightly. "But I'm just," he laughed weakly, "I'm kind of a disaster." "Tease him." "I steal his food. I accidentally create problems." Alina chuckled. "And yet, he's happier than he's been in years." She gently placed a hand on Cole's shoulder. "Don't decide what Marcus deserves. Marcus decide." Those words stayed with Cole all afternoon. Don't decide what Marcus deserves. How many times had Marcus accepted him exactly as he was, without asking him to change, without expecting perfection? Why couldn't Cole do the same that evening? Marcus returned to headquarters. His meeting had run later than expected. The executive floor was almost empty. Only one office light remained on Cole's desk. Marcus walked over. "Cole." Cole looked up immediately. "Back." "I am. You skipped dinner." Marcus blinked. "How did you know?" "I know you." Cole stood. "I made sandwiches." Marcus smiled faintly. "I should have guessed." They carried the food to the rooftop garden. Snowflakes drifted lazily around them. Neither spoke for several minutes. Finally, Cole took a deep breath. "Marcus." "Yes, I have an answer." Marcus looked at him calmly. There was no urgency in his eyes, only patience. Cole smiled nervously. "When you confessed, I panicked." Marcus remained silent. "Because I didn't like you. Because I thought someone like you deserved someone better." Marcus frowned slightly. "Cole, you deserve someone elegant, someone sophisticated, someone who knows what they're doing." Cole laughed at himself. "I'm just." Marcus stepped closer. "And that's exactly who I fell in love with." Cole's eyes filled with emotion. Marcus continued softly. "I don't want someone else. I want the Omega who argues with me over breakfast, the one who steals my dumplings, the one who gives me cactuses and birthday presents, the one who reminds me to smile, the one standing in front of me." Cole couldn't stop smiling anymore. His voice trembled just a little. "I think," he laughed through the tears gathering in his eyes. "No, I know, I love you too." For a moment, neither of them moved. Marcus gave Cole one last chance to step away. Cole didn't. Instead, he closed the remaining distance himself. He gently took Marcus's hand. Their fingers intertwined naturally. Marcus looked at their joined hands, then back at Cole. "Are you sure?" Cole nodded without hesitation. "Never been more sure." Marcus smiled, not the small, restrained smile everyone else knew, a genuine one that reached his eyes. He slowly lifted his free hand and brushed a loose strand of hair away from Cole's face. "So," Cole whispered, "does this mean we're dating now?" Marcus chuckled quietly. "If you'd like." Cole grinned. "I'd like that very much." Without another word, Marcus leaned forward, giving Cole every opportunity to pull away. Cole smiled, then met him halfway. Their first kiss was gentle, soft, unhurried, not fueled by passion but by trust, by months of friendship, by countless shared meals, by quiet conversations, by every small moment that had led them here. When they finally pulled apart, Cole rested his forehead against Marcus's. "I waited way too long to admit that." Marcus smiled. "I was prepared to wait longer." Cole laughed. "I'm glad you don't have to." Behind the rooftop door, Watson stood holding two forgotten files. He had come to remind them to go home instead. He had just witnessed his son kissing his boss. Watson slowly looked up at the snowy sky. "Honey," he murmured to his late wife with an exasperated smile, "our son is dating the most terrifying alpha in the city." He sighed dramatically. "I have absolutely no idea how this happened." Yet despite his words, a small smile remained on his face, because Marcus wasn't just the boss anymore. He was the man who looked at Cole as though he were the most precious person in the world. And as Watson quietly walked away, pretending he had seen nothing, he realized that perhaps his son had chosen well. Chapter 25. Together, the news spread through Blackcrest headquarters faster than anyone expected, not because Marcus or Cole announced it, but because neither of them was very good at hiding it. Marcus's expression had become noticeably softer whenever Cole entered a room. Cole no longer knocked before walking into Marcus's office. They shared lunch almost every day, and every evening, they left the building together. It wasn't difficult for the staff to connect the dots. Monday morning, the executive floor was unusually quiet. The receptionist slowly looked around. Has anyone noticed? The accountant nodded. They've smiled at each other 6 times already. Hasn't even been 9 o'clock. Intern whispered excitedly, I think they're dating. Older secretary smiled knowingly, I don't think. I know. At that exact moment, the elevator doors opened. Cole stepped out carrying breakfast. Answered at once. Morning. Cole blinked. Why is everyone smiling at me? No reason. You're lying. We're definitely lying. Cole narrowed his eyes suspiciously. This feels dangerous. Marcus stepped out of his office the moment he saw Cole. A small smile appeared on his face. It was subtle but unmistakable. The receptionist quietly nudged Adrian. There, I told you. Adrian simply smiled. I noticed. Walked over holding 2 paper bags. I brought breakfast. Marcus accepted one. Thank you. Cole leaned closer. I remembered the blueberry pastry. Marcus looked inside. You did. I always will. Words were spoken casually, but Marcus looked at him with unmistakable warmth. Thank you. Neither noticed that half the executive floor was pretending to organize paperwork while secretly watching them around lunchtime. Watson entered carrying a stack of contracts. He stopped, looked at Marcus, looked at Cole, then looked at the 2 lunches sitting side by side on Marcus's desk. Explain. Cole blinked. What, you packed his lunch? Never packed mine. Cole frowned. You work in the same building. Exactly. Watson pointed dramatically. Worked with him for 15 years. You've known him for 2 months. Somehow, he gets homemade sandwiches. Cole laughed so hard he nearly dropped his drink. Dad. Marcus calmly looked up from his paperwork. He makes very good sandwiches. Watson stared at his boss in disbelief. You're encouraging him, Marcus answered with complete seriousness. I am. Watson slowly placed a hand over his heart. My own boss has joined forces with my son. The entire office burst into laughter. Even Marcus quietly chuckled that afternoon. Cole and Marcus inspected one of Blackcrest's community outreach centers. The organization quietly funded schools, shelters, and neighborhood clinics throughout Asterra. As they walked through the children's library, several kids ran toward Cole. Back. Cole laughed. I promised I would be. One little girl noticed Marcus standing nearby. She looked up curiously. Are you his friend? Marcus glanced at Cole before he could answer. Cole smiled. He's my boyfriend. The little girl's face lit up. Really? Cole nodded proudly. Really? She looked at Marcus. You smile more than he said. Marcus blinked. He talks about me. Cole suddenly realized what he had revealed. Maybe Marcus couldn't help smiling. I see. After leaving the library, they walked slowly through the snow-covered park. Cole shoved his hands into his coat pockets. Boyfriend. Marcus looked at him. You said it very confidently. Cole smiled shyly. I liked how it sounded. Marcus reached for his hand. Their fingers naturally intertwined. So did I. For a while, neither of them spoke. The silence felt peaceful, comfortable. Home that evening, Blackcrest held its annual winter appreciation dinner for employees. Long tables filled the banquet hall. Laughter echoed from every corner. For once, no one discussed business. They simply enjoyed each other's company. Halfway through dinner, the receptionist stood. She tapped her glass gently. I'd like to make a toast. Marcus looked mildly concerned. This rarely ends well. Everyone laughed. She smiled warmly. To Blackcrest. To the people who make this place feel like a family. She looked toward Marcus. And to our boss, who finally learned how to smile. Room applauded. Marcus looked slightly embarrassed. Then she turned toward Cole. And to the person responsible. Cole immediately pointed at himself. You. Everyone clapped louder. Marcus glanced at Cole with quiet affection. Suppose they're right. Cole smiled. Accept the credit. The evening came to an end. Employees slowly began leaving. One by one they wished Marcus and Cole good night. See you tomorrow. Drive safely. Good night, boss. Good night, Cole. Building gradually fell silent. Marcus and Cole stood together in the now empty lobby. Snow drifted gently outside the glass doors. Cole looked around. It's quiet. Marcus nodded. It usually is. Cole smiled. Doesn't feel lonely anymore. Marcus looked at him. No, doesn't. He gently brushed a snowflake from Cole's hair. Thank you. Cole tilted his head. What? For walking into my life. Cole's eyes softened. You know, you saved me too. Marcus frowned slightly. I did. You showed me that someone could love every noisy, stubborn, ridiculous part of me. Marcus smiled. There was never anything to fix. Cole laughed quietly. I think I love hearing you say things like that. Marcus leaned down and kissed his forehead. And I love seeing you smile. They stood together for another moment before stepping outside into the softly falling snow. Behind one of the darkened windows across the street, a camera shutter clicked. A photograph captured them holding hands beneath the streetlights. The image was immediately transmitted to another phone. In a luxurious office overlooking the sleeping city, Benston studied the photograph in silence. Marcus Black, the city's most untouchable alpha, standing with his greatest weakness. A slow, calculating smile spread across Benston's face. So, it begins. He placed the photograph on his desk. The first act is over. Now, let's see how much love can survive when the war truly starts.